Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And joining us again for the first time in quite some time, Ant.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Surprise guest. Because if you listen to Wednesday's episode, he was not on it.
No.
Because we traditionally have the Wednesday and Friday both with the guest.
Correct.
But not this time.
Not this time.
Because we usually record them at the same time, but Ant was flying back from Georgia and
I thought that
did
was
not
supposed to be
arrive.
secret.
Was it secret?
That we recorded at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
No,
we've been pretty open about
yeah.
it.
We've ruined it.
Yeah.
For everyone that didn't know.
Also, I'm pretty sure that we mentioned at the end of that episode that Ant would be on this one.
Oh, maybe.
So,
I don't know.
which is a good thing you actually made it, Ant, because
Yes.
if you hadn't, then
We'd
you've
have
looked
been
like
fucking
fools.
liars.
I mean,
Fools.
technically, it wasn't edited yet, so I could have just been like, and I'm going to cut that and that.
True, true.
You survived not humid Georgia.
Yeah, it was pretty good weather.
It's good.
Can't complain about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I still went to Georgia, so
Yeah,
Complain about that.
Right on. Well, the reason we have Ant on the show is to hopefully bring some balance and perspective that might be needed to this review, because this is a review episode on Fridays, and we are going to be reviewing Rising Sun, the new Eric Lang game. So it might get contentious. We'll see.
Hold on to your butts. Because every mechanic is the best and worst mechanic of all time.
100% correct. So, right on. Rising Sun is a 2018 release from designer Eric Lang. Artist is Adrian Smith, published by Simon. It plays 3 to 5 players, takes 90 to 120 minutes. Zach, you got that rules overview for us?
Yes, I do. Yeah. In Rising Sun, you're battling other clans for control of a fantastical feudal Japan. Each season starts with a tea ceremony, creating alliances that give bonuses during the political phase. In the political phase, players will take turns activating mandates. These will let you recruit new units, move them, train new skills and monsters, harvest provinces, and betray enemy forces. Throughout the round, you will be checking on the worshipping forces on Kami, giving boons to the winner of each. During the war phase, you will go through the marked provinces in order and resolve any battles that occur. In battle, you can seppuku for honor, take an enemy force hostage, and hire Ronin to bolster your forces. Whoever has the most wins the province, and then after 3 seasons, the game ends. You're going to count up all your endgame points, including bonuses from winning different provinces, and whoever has the most is the winner.
Right on. That is,
Terrifyingly simple.
yes, something like that. So, let's get started off where we always like to start with our initial thoughts going into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Ant, you're the guest. What were your initial thoughts going into Rising Sun?
Minis.
You are one of the few that we know that are like full on painting all those kind of games.
Yeah, I mean, there's a queue. There's
A fairly long queue.
full-on plans.
Yeah.
I'm a paint 1 buy 3 kind of person.
So you always have something to do.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that. I mean, I bought like Mythic Battle Pantheon knowing that I hated the game mechanics in every sense, but the models look great. The sound of Rising Sun sounded pretty good to me, and the models looked amazing, as well as I really liked the feudal Japan look. So I knew that I would use the minis eventually anyway. If not, then I wanted to at least paint them. And then the more big guys they added, the more I wanted it. So
Right on.
They did add some big guys.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Zach is the other person who backed the game
Uh-huh.
on Kickstarter. What were your initial thoughts going into?
Well, I was a huge fan of Blood Rage, and hearing that this was the quote-unquote, like, sort of spiritual successor to it.
Blood Rage 2.
No, not at all.
Electric Boogaloo.
And the fact that it was Eric Lang, Simon, and Adrian Smith all working together. And just like Ian was saying, the more stuff they added, the more I was like, oh, man, that looks great. That looks amazing. That one even looks even better. And so I knew it was an instant back for me, and I was super excited to bring this to the table once we finally got it. Once I got my 15-pound baggage.
Right on.
Multiple boxes.
Yes.
So for so many of the reasons that Zach listed as reasons he was excited for the game were all reasons I was incredibly trepidatious. It was an Eric Lang design, which I have not recently cared for many of Eric Lang's games. It's Area Control, which I haven't been a huge fan of as a mechanic recently. Simon game, which recently I've found to be way heavy on production values, fancy art, fancy minis, but pretty light on gameplay. And so all of that, I was a little bit hesitant going into it. Yeah, the the minis made it look real good, so I was interested in like checking it out from that perspective. But
And you're not a fan of the theme, right?
no, I have zero connection to any feudal Japan or Japanese style
Samurai.
mythology, samurai. That does nothing for me. But yeah, that was my thoughts going into it. What about yours, Jeff?
As a fan of Blood Rage,
Mhm.
I like Blood Rage, and I've generally enjoyed Eric Lang games. I was definitely not going to back this in any way, shape, or form because I knew people that were. It was definitely one of those. I have a friend group that can totally back this in some absurd degree,
Yeah.
and so I will be able to play it at my whim for $0. I like the feudal Japan thing. I really liked the color scheme, and before I even played it, I did stand next to it at Gen Con while waiting for Matt to come pick up his charger dressed as Gatekeeper.
Yes.
And I did watch a little bit of that, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. I didn't really catch much of the mechanics, but I was definitely looking forward to actually giving it a shot.
Gotcha.
Right on. Then moving on from initial thoughts, let's talk components because, that is the end all be all of a CMON game. Cool minis or not. And I think they do succeed on this one and that they are cool minis. There are some awesome miniatures.
There are a lot of miniatures. The first thing I noticed about the miniatures was how extremely detailed all of the huge monsters were. I haven't really seen Blood Rage since I've seen Rising Sun, so I haven't been able to have them side by side, but these seem like above and beyond.
I would say these are better.
Yeah.
Not just like Blood Rages is still really good, but
because you have the entirety of Blood Rage
Yes,
as well, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And but I do definitely looking at some of the dragons and stuff. It's like, oh man, look at all the the scaling that they have on the dragons and the textures on those scales and stuff like that.
The most impressive thing I saw was look at the teeth in the water dragon's mouth.
Yeah, that was the one I was just about to point out. Like the first time I played, somebody handed me that. I'm like, look at the fucking teeth on this thing. And they're individually little serrated teeth. When really, most other games, I feel like it would have just been like a ridge.
Yeah.
Spoiler, I started painting that one first.
Yeah, the dragons are ridiculous. They're all twisty around on each other and take up a ton of space. Like the kami are all these big, huge, hulking, or not the kami, the oni.
Yeah.
Are these big, huge, hulking beasts that really kind of loom over the battlefield.
Oh, and I do want to mention that this is the Kickstarter one.
Yeah.
So it's just a reference. It's everything.
Correct.
Even we played with the expansion, the Dynasty Invasion one too. So
which I think is out alongside
it is.
the main release.
Technically, I mean that one is. I don't know if the Kami is out yet, but the Kami Unbound and the extra monsters pack, those are going to be expansion packs as well. So
yeah, what was Kickstarter exclusive?
Okay. So
A couple monsters.
yeah,
It was mostly tokens.
it was mostly tokens.
So all of the Alliance teardrops, the action selection tiles.
Yeah, they're like cardboard punch outs in the base version on they're nice tile, plastic tiles.
Oh yeah, they're super nice.
Yeah, the
Alliance teardrops.
things, and they're a lot more 3-dimensional. These are just cardboard things. Those,
Yep.
yeah. The
area control flags.
area control flags
the
are
war flags.
yeah, are actual flags in the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Whereas they're tokens with this,
Mm-hmm.
and then the strongholds are actually 3D models.
Oh, those are Kickstarter exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, otherwise they're these.
They're little
Every
tiles.
For me at least, the only functional difference, the strongholds add a functional difference with those 3D models because it's a lot easier to see at a glance how much everybody has, and also the turtles look a lot better as giant ass turtles than they do with this token.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
for
just
sure.
a flat
It's just a flat
Turtley
token. Yes.
picture of a stronghold.
There's also the
The
Fox
entire
clan.
Fox clan is
Now, I will say that it does mean that you can play with the Kickstarter exclusive. You can play 6-player out of the base box, whereas if you don't have that, you would need one of the expansions to do that. But at the very least,
Is there a whole clan that's Kickstarter
the
exclusive?
Fox clan.
The Fox clan. Okay.
But realistically, all you'd have to do is be like, "This is this does this power now."
This is just the Fox clan.
This is just
now.
the Fox clan. It's
Yeah.
not.
Do you remember offhand what the Fox clan does?
Yes, it's the at the beginning of the war phase, you can summon one Bushi to any region where you have no power.
Okay.
Yes.
they're Zach's failing upward strategy.
Yes.
Gotcha.
All you just be like, okay, they start with this much money each round, and they have this honor, and then they have this power. That's the only thing that you would need, and you can easily get that from a picture.
Yeah.
So it sucks you don't have it, but it's something you don't need. Like, you can still realistically play that one just with a little bit of
tweaking,
a little bit. Three post-it notes and you're good.
The metal coins were also Kickstarter exclusive. You don't have those though.
That's because they were add-ons. I didn't include that. I also did not include the mats.
Yeah.
Was it Kickstarter exclusive add-on?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think so. I don't know. If
they're listed as Kickstarter
Oh,
exclusives,
yeah.
add-ons and Kickstarter exclusive.
Okay.
And then also, like you said, that the big neoprene player board.
Which I don't even know how you're going to store that thing.
But you used the Takedo metal coins.
I did.
And I didn't even realize they weren't like the Kickstarter exclusive Rising Sun ones because they are almost exact duplicates.
Yeah.
The one that we played at my house is the exclusive one.
Yes. Yeah. And those.
If I had other metal coins, I wouldn't have cared, but I don't really have any other metal coins.
Exactly.
But the two side by side, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference.
Yeah. If I'd have been like, Jeff, choose which one's the Rising Sun one.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're both just Japanese tokens.
Exactly, yeah.
Coin.
And then at the very least, the game comes with the plastic coins versus like cardboard ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason I didn't initially get the metal ones. Because I was like,
they're not just chits.
They're not just chits, they're plastic at least. But then after I ordered that, I started playing a lot of games with metal coins. And I was like, oh man, if I have a choice to use metal coins, I'm going to use them. So, but that's where I was glad I got the Takedo ones. So.
It's that sound of the clinking when you're like trying to bribe somebody that really just brings it all together.
I have noticed that I very quietly try and move them when I'm doing my war betting because people can hear what I'm doing.
Or on the flip side, like there were times when it was like, I want to make sure I'm actually putting money down so that you have to commit or not.
Exactly.
And so you could kind of like chink 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 and like let them fall on each other there.
And then you slowly take them away without making it noise.
I liked when you actually owned an area and you could just kind of put that like right underneath the bet board, and you could just slide them over onto it and no one could tell.
Oh yeah.
Because they're both even.
Yeah.
I've done that.
I think the one I did a bunch last game was I clinked them down, but without I had one finger on the side, so I clinked them all, and then I just picked them up, and I went to the next one, and I clinked them all again. I was like, all right, well, how many do I have up here?
Clearly, components are key.
Clearly.
To the battle phase.
Yeah, certainly metal coins can play an actual role in the gameplay.
Yes.
All of the clans have unique models.
Yes.
Like Kickstarter or not.
Yes. I will say, as they like to do during their Kickstarter, they like to be like, oh, here's the base set for an upgrade. We're going to have these three, like you're going to have 2 unique models for the Bushi instead of 1, which works great, except when you're setting up for that first time, people kept getting confused on what were the Shinto and which were the Bushi.
Yep.
Because there's 3 Shinto, and then unless people were like looking at their board or looking at their mat,
their screen.
There we go, screen. Then they're like, oh, okay, now I know which one it is. So I'd had people get confused on that, or like, well, I have these Bushi over here, but what are these other things? And they're like, well, those are also Bushi. But yeah.
I mean, if you look at them, the actual models, the 6, there's 3 and 3 for the Bushi, but they have weapons and the Shinto don't.
No, yeah. Yes.
So,
no, you're not wrong.
Like, which one's which?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter, but make 3 of them that don't have weapons the Shinto.
Yes. Which, luckily, it does come with the clips on the bottom so you can signify which one are which. And I know you said you're just going to
I'm going to paint them, so I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just leave yours on the base now, right, Zach?
Might as well. Why?
Yeah.
There's plenty of clips to leave them all on.
Exactly.
Even with the extra.
Yeah, I think there's enough where you can have it on all different 8 clans. So, what did you think of the art? Like the art on the cards,
I like the art. Like I said, I don't connect to the theme at all.
Right.
So the art doesn't do anything for me in that regard, like really pull me into the theme or anything like that. But Adrian Smith is a really good artist.
Yeah.
I've liked a lot of his art in Zombicide stuff,
Right.
and I like his.
You can appreciate that it's good if it's not for you.
Adrian Smith is my favorite thing about Cool Mini these days.
Is it also because it has your same name?
No, it's not just that.
I didn't say just.
No, although it is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Don't meet a lot of dude Adrians these days.
I do enjoy that they don't use standard colors for the players, the clans.
I like that too.
It's not your standard red, blue, green, yellow. It's all very pastel.
Well, yeah, because it is red, blue, green, yellow, purple.
Yes.
They're just pastel versions,
Indeed.
which is the one thing artistically, like graphic design, that I hate, because I don't like pastels.
I don't think the board aesthetic would have come out as well if it was just those standard bold
I would agree
colors.
with that. Yeah.
I could maybe see that. for the board itself.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like I'm gonna paint the minis, so the mini color doesn't matter. But I really like the board pastels. I mean, even just for the minis, I prefer them the softer colors that they are, just because it doesn't look as dramatic.
Right. Yeah.
Compared to like every other game you have is going to have the same colors. I mean, it's nice to have something that's slightly different. Even if they had bold colors and not picked something that were the standard colors, I would have kind of liked that too. So I kind of like the pastels, but the board itself I like as a pastel because it all seems older style Japanese like softness to it.
Yeah.
And that's
especially because the map looks like
An old-timey map.
An old-timey map, yes.
An ancient Japanese map.
Old-timey map.
Yeah. No, sorry. Ye oldie.
Ye oldie Japanese.
Feudal
Yes.
Japan.
Yeah, ye oldie feudal Japan.
fantastic.
But the background on the board has lots of really cool art beyond just the regular play space and areas and stuff. It's got, the rising sun in there with
Oh, hey,
various
that's the name of the
wave-
game.
Oh,
Also, maybe Japan's the land of the rising sun.
Don't be racist.
But it'll have the graphic design on the board is pretty awesome. I never really paid attention to actually the art inside the areas because they were covered with so many minis. But even inside each area, it looks cool.
And you can clearly tell which area is which too,
Because they all have those bold color choices.
the bold surrounding each region, and it's easy to tell which regions connect to which other regions.
Yeah, and they did a good
Because
job.
it actually alternates color. If red and green is together, it's a red and green alternating border.
For everyone that has this game, yellow is connected to brown. Do not miss that little tiny ship connection that I did not see the first two games.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, they do a good job with the colors that are adjacent to each other for territories are stark enough. Like, they don't put yellow and orange together. Like, those are on different parts of the board.
Exactly.
Blue and purple are on distinctly different parts of the board. I have to give them credit graphic design-wise. Like, I think that everything is laid out really well on the board, and where things go all makes sense and is clearly marked. And, like, as you're learning the game and playing the game, it's easy to keep track of like where things are going and what they're doing and like what phase of the game you're in and that kind of stuff.
Because for the political phase, it has the three mandates that you're doing, and then it's going to be a commie phase, and then two, and then a commie, and then two, and then another commie, and then the war phase.
War.
Yeah, and that's all very clearly shown on the board.
And I think and I really liked how they have the provinces laid out, especially because they are not like. I'm really glad they numbered them basically, so like it's easy. You can tell which ones are coming up and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Do we have anything else to gush over components? Those Kickstarter exclusive political tiles sure are nice.
Yes, those are nice. The strongholds are really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean all the Kickstarter exclusive stuff is nice. The Bushi tokens are nice.
It gave and they give you more monsters and stuff too, but that's only if you are very completionist. Like,
but after playing with all the fancy Kickstarter ones, would I ever want to go back?
I think there's
really
more
that
than enough
many.
monsters.
Well, it
that
adds
you wouldn't notice.
Yeah,
monster wise, but like those tiles are so nice.
No.
Oh yeah,
strongholds are so nice.
I agree. If you can't get the Kickstarter edition, never play the Kickstarter.
Just
I don't know.
Then you'll know what you're missing.
I think the tiles are the best addition for sure. I could live with the strongholds being cardboard. The only thing I would complain about the strongholds being cardboard is you can't really tell the color when they're stacked up.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant. Where it was like that was an actual functional difference.
But I don't think that those are game ruining for me. Like playing with the cardboard ones.
I could see though, like
that,
definitely being like if you wanted to maybe get the game and you're playing it to test it out, like, and you can only get the base version. Don't test out the Kickstarter like edition because you'll be like, holy shit, this is amazing, and then you'll get the regular one and be like, oh, these things are all like not quite as good.
Or
like
be
they're
well-
still functional,
Yeah.
and if you really like the gameplay, then you'll probably be happy.
Yeah.
Or be well aware that what the differences are.
Yes,
Because those tiles are just
The tiles
are cool.
are a
They
big
make-
difference for sure.
Because I was trying to think of what other pieces are just like basic cardboard, and it's the war province victory pieces when you claim a province, and like the kami tiles.
Yeah, that's
then,
the only
and
card.
then behind your screen.
And then I would say probably the reason those are is like, how could you really upgrade those?
Yeah,
I mean, they could have done the kami tiles in the same style as
I think
the-
that would have been too much.
that
They're a
would've
little
been too
too
much.
detailed,
Yeah.
I think. They're like the
I mean, the
political
tiles
tiles,
themselves-
right?
Political mandates.
Mandate tiles. Yeah.
I think the fact that you actually have to hold them and manipulate them, like having that tile, it works well for it. But I think just having them off to the side, be like, oh, that feels weird.
The Kami tiles could have been even cheaper for all I care because you never move them.
no.
The only time
no,
you
yeah.
move them is to look at the thing, and if it's even thinner, then it's easier to look at.
But I do have to say, even the political mandate cardboard tiles, still nice,
Yeah, yeah.
thick
Yeah.
cardboard, nice linen finish.
Mhm.
They're nice.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not. It's not like
They're
thin.
They're-
It's no
I-
terraforming
yeah,
Mars.
Yes, exactly. They're really good. It's just if you had the Kickstarter stuff,
They'd be nice.
like Tony the
Oh,
Tiger says,
yeah.
they're great.
The only other thing component wise we haven't touched on, the cards are good card
Oh, yeah.
quality. I didn't notice any issues with them.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not shuffling them, so they're
Oh, yeah,
not going to really wear
no.
very much.
And they're separated because there's different seasons cards. Then they have 3 different colors.
And these are all the upgrade cards.
The
The
upgrade
training
cards.
cards are.
And then when you're setting up the game, you take the core ones and then you mix in like a pack basically, because there's a couple of different symbols on the back, and that you're like, there's a ship one, there's like a mountain one, other symbols and stuff like that, and it's easy enough to figure out when you're setting up the game. You're like, I want to do these and put them together. But I could see someone just being like, do I just mix all of these together? Don't
Don't do
Yeah,
that.
don't do that. That's too many. Even then, that's another reason why the Kickstarter exclusive, I don't think that are that important because you have to deal things in and you have to take things out to put things in. So they're kind of just substitutions for variety's sake. And there's so many things in there that, when we played, we had too many things. I dealt the deck out and then I was like, I got to take some stuff out.
Yeah. I would say there's 2 Kickstarter exclusive monsters, I think, that are like, it sort of sucks that you don't have them. One is the basically the Monkey King guy that doesn't actually exist.
the
Kotahi?
Yes, because his ability is whenever Harvest is played, you win Harvest there no matter what, even if you don't play it.
I thought it was if you had the highest force.
No, you automatically win with that
Okay.
guy. And that's why I was putting him off to the side, like, because you could be like, I'm not using him for fighting. I'm using him to gain resources.
Okay.
And putting him in spots where there aren't any battles to make people be like, oh, I don't care about that, and it's getting you extra things. And then also Godzilla. I forget what his name is. Kaiju.
Daikaiju.
Godzilla.
Gojira?
Fucking-
Gojira.
Gojira. He is definitely one of my favorite ones, and he has
Yeah.
the most unique ability, I think, out of all of them.
Indeed.
It fucking shit me out at 12 points last game.
Yeah.
Oh, the last game that we were playing, Adrian tried to outbid me on a Shinto, and I was like, Adrian, if you put your guys there, I'm gonna use this guy, and I'm gonna crush as many things as I can of yours.
I mean, it only gets one swift action. but
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it only comes in the last season,
Yeah.
so you can only ever use it once.
And
but-
at the very least, well, that's getting into other shit. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, looking over these, I don't remember. Granted, I don't think I've played with all of
No.
them. Like the Noriona, the like snake lady that can move around, like that's a pretty cool ability.
yeah. I mean, they all.
But-
I'm not saying they aren't bad. They aren't good. It's just like,
they're not vital.
yeah, exactly. It's like in
You won't
Blood
miss
Rage,
them.
the
Fenrir?
Fenrir. Like that one, it's like if you don't have that one, it's like, oh, that sucks. He has a really cool ability.
Yeah. That's basically what Gojira is.
Yeah. So there's 1 or 2 that are like, it sort of sucks that you can't have, like, you don't have them, but
Yep.
it's not. The game, just based from what I can tell, at least from the retail version, like it's very it's a complete enough package for the monsters and stuff like that. So
Indeed. Well, I think that wraps up components pretty
Mhm.
well there. We've gushed over the fanciness.
All 4 of us have agreed. The
Yeah.
components are fantastic.
Yeah, the components are top notch.
yeah, I don't even know if I could listen to Adrian anymore if he didn't even say that. Like he's just like, all of this is garbage, and it's
These are
like,
the worst components I've ever seen.
then your hate boner would definitely be.
It's obstructing my vision at that point. Right on. Well, let's move on to some rules and rules explanation here. So mainly, we'll leave this up to you, Ant and Zach, who've both taught the game and read through the rules a little bit. The one thing we'll start off, like, it took us a while to play correctly, but you guys said that once you looked it up, like everything we were playing wrong was very clearly shown in the rules.
Yes. No. Yeah. That was. Yeah. When you were like, yeah, it took us 4 times to play correctly, and I was like, Adrian, that was totally my fault. Every time, like, I would make an assumption about, like, I'm pretty sure I read like 80%, and then I was like, okay, I'm sure this does it like this, and this doesn't.
But
like
that 20%, vital.
Yes.
What did you guys mess up that was that traumatic?
Being able to build a stronghold anywhere.
Yeah. Which you didn't even play at.
I didn't need to.
No. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But you can build a stronghold anywhere.
You don't have to have
Okay,
you don't have to
that
have
makes sense.
people there.
Yeah. We were doing it originally. The monsters, when you train them, they immediately get summoned.
It was just like they go into your pool, and
yeah.
whenever you
Oh,
recruit,
we did that
next-
for
The first game.
we did,
Yeah.
wasn't even by the end of the first game we had already figured that rule out.
Yeah. That when you're using the Kami expansion, you're still doing the regular Kami actions in addition to the Kamis.
putting out the models.
And then there was something else too. I don't remember.
Those were the main ones.
Yeah,
that
those are
I
the main
knew
ones,
of,
yes.
But
Yeah.
I didn't play until you guys already played a couple times
Yeah.
and sorted through some of these mistakes. So
Yes. But I think it's once you know it and know how to play correctly, I feel like it's an easy enough game to teach the basics. Because there's only during the political phase, there's just 5 things you can do. And
One's betray.
yeah, once I mean, you're not wrong. So just betray always, forever.
I got that skill that lets me do that.
Yes, he did. That was hilarious. Yeah, just explain what those do. And what's nice is that everybody has this card that on the flip side, or on one side is how you actually do battles. The other side is what each of the mandates are and what they do, and what they do for you if you're an ally or the person who's playing it. And then the Kami work it's just whoever has the most forces on there, and then it just goes from left to right, and how and everything in the game is, if there's a tie in anything, it's always broken by honor.
I think that needs to be emphasized to anyone learning the game.
Yes.
It's honor is ultra important because
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of ties.
Yeah,
And if you have higher honor, you win.
yeah,
the only thing I can think of in the game where it gets confusing rules wise is rule breakers that come out from the skill cards or certain monsters that
or
affect-
clans or anything.
clans.
Yeah. It is an Ameritrash version where there's always a million exceptions to everything.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's always, which I 100% agree with, that it has a lot of those, and you're always just okay, well, how does this work in this instance? And you're like, I don't know. And you can look online, or a lot of times it's just well, we think it would be like this. And then usually you're right, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember there being anything that came up in any of our plays where it wasn't pretty explicitly. You weren't able to figure it out once you actually looked at the text of the card,
Exactly, yeah.
or the text of the rule, and see how.
Yeah,
it's
they
clearly,
they use their words very specifically.
yes,
Take versus you gain and they lose. Move versus summon, and there are things that block some of them and don't block the others and stuff like that. So
The only other thing that's sort of kind of weird is the Damios.
Yeah.
It's just remember, they're immune to literally everything. It's immune to this, and other things.
Mhm.
And
Except death.
Yes.
except death at the end of a battle.
Yeah.
They're immune to a lot of other deaths,
Mhm.
a dragon that kills one of everybody in an area.
mhm.
That's an effect, and they're immune to effects.
Yeah.
They're not immune to dying at the end of battle.
Yep.
yes, or at the beginning of a battle.
Yeah, separate.
I remember the other thing that we messed up was with harvest. The harvest.
Oh, right,
areas.
yes. That we thought when you won a province, you also got its harvest ability,
No,
and it's not that.
you only get the harvest
There's-
ability when harvest is played.
Yes,
There's a
And-
skill that lets you do that.
there is a god that lets you do that.
That's what it
Mhm.
was.
a god in the Kami Unbound that lets you do that.
Yeah.
So only if you have the expansion will that come up.
Okay.
Allies is important for all of these rules explanation things because you have to be oh, they're allies and they do this action.
Yeah.
We don't get to do any of that, but
That is-
they sure
yep.
do.
Yes.
Yeah, because pretty much every action except betray has you and your ally get to do
Get a bonus. Either it's spending less money, being able to build a stronghold,
summoning
being-
an extra
summoning
person.
an extra person, or being able to actually harvest.
Yes.
And-
Unless it's betray.
Yeah.
And then only you and your ally have the ability of you're no longer allies.
Yes. And if you don't because you don't have to have an ally in this game. And if you don't, then only you get the benefit of whatever mandate you're playing, that
Mhm.
additional one, just you get that.
Yeah.
So, and if you betray because you don't have an ally to betray,
No negatives.
there's no negatives. It's
Which is
only
lo-
positives.
which is lose honor.
Yeah.
But yeah, being allied is kind of important
Mhm.
in this game.
Which is the one thing that I think the rules don't, and I haven't read through the rules myself, but the way the game was taught and the way the game plays, I think that, and we'll cover this a little bit more in gameplay, but I think they could do a better job of stressing just how important, not only alliances, but just the negotiation aspect of the game.
Mhm.
For the game to work, you really should be negotiating everything, almost all the time.
And negotiations, I have not personally read the rules,
Mhm.
but is negotiation
Yeah.
framed out in the rules as a
It-
thing people should be doing?
it is, but it's not It's not intuitive.
But there's no mechanic behind it at all.
Other than, I mean, the tea ceremony is supposed to be
That.
a bit of that. And then it's also, like, it says you can try and bribe people. Like, it'll give you little instances of doing that. But
It's pretty much...
When you're teaching the game to somebody, unless you stress that, and even stressing that, playing, it doesn't come out intuitively.
Yeah.
You have to, basically, like, there's like, you have to reach up to grab it. It's not just, like, right in your face.
There's no mechanic that says, negotiate here.
Yes.
It's not like the political phase in Twilight Imperium.
Exactly,
It's
yes.
like, all right, now everyone talk to each other and see what everyone's votes are going to be,
Yeah.
and then pass around money.
Yeah.
And in this game, you can do almost, like, literally all of that same
Do
stuff.
any of that anytime you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's in the middle of bidding for, like, a battle.
In the war phase, you cannot just be like, here's money.
Yeah.
But you can still do that through the war mechanic of, I'm just going to spend all of my money because I don't have another fight. So just don't spend anything. I'll give you all this money so you can go fuck up other people. I don't care. And so
just kill all your dudes.
it took us, I think, to the third play maybe to really start negotiating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, on that same note, the third play is when I started realizing that you don't need the ally because all you're doing is helping somebody else.
Yeah.
And that third game, I only took allies that I knew that I could dick over halfway through the turn. I mean, Paul was my ally the first turn of that game. And I was like, okay, well, Jeff's not paying attention. Zach's going last on this first turn. And Julie is going to try to do her one power. I was like, I'm going to ally with Paul now. So that way on the second go around, if he doesn't betray me, I can betray him.
So yeah, it's like the game stresses alliances, but it's about temporary alliances and like basically telling people like when to dump alliances and not care about them and stuff like that. And it takes a couple games for you to really get that through.
Right on. Well, is there anything else you guys want to touch on? Rules and rules explanation
did
before we
you-
move on to gameplay?
Did you guys understand how the battle went?
Yeah, I think it probably helped that we'd played Cry Havoc because it's a very similar, instead of it being area control across the three things, in this one it's just whoever, it's like more of a bidding, like whoever
Yes.
spends the most money in an area
Well,
gets that.
and that it's secret versus Cry Havoc was like the attacker does his thing and then the defender can choose how to respond.
Yeah.
Now it's just like you can ask how much money and how many Ronin everybody has, but after that it's just like
How are they
going to play? Yeah.
Yeah, how are they going to spend that money? How are they going to spread that around?
Yes.
Because you can seppuku
Yes.
and get a bunch of honor and victory points for all the dudes you kill yourself. Take people hostage. Critical in this game.
Because you take one of their forces, literally, unless it says they can't be taken, you can take anything.
Like, this dragon?
Yep.
I put it in handcuffs and it's hostage now.
You get unpaid parking tickets.
Yes. It's like the end of Monty Python. They
Yes,
just
exactly.
are all arrested.
Yeah. It was literally a cop-out.
Yep. Hiring Ronin, which is just extra force.
If you have them available.
If you have them available. And then the Imperial Poets.
Yes, which is basically at the end of the battle, whoever wins that one gets a point for every... Like, Jeff, the time he won that one because he wrote an epic poem about one lone dude getting crushed by Godzilla. And
It was great.
Yes. And then whoever wins that battle, so everybody that played the game, or not, oh my God.
Everybody that was in the battle.
Everybody that's in the battle, all the losers in the battle, they just spend all the money they get rid of all the money they spent. But then the winner takes the money that he or she spent and gives it to the losers.
War reparations.
So telling everybody, hey, if you go all in on that first battle, not only are you hurting yourself, you're helping your opponents. So telling people, like, sometimes you may want to lose an early battle to get more money for future ones.
Right.
And then also in this one, ties are once again broken by honor. So make sure you know that. If you're the lowest honor, don't be like, I'm going to play conservative on money.
Yeah, that'll backfire.
Yes. And then also, all of these things say may on them. So if you don't want to kill yourself in the battle, but you want to make sure that Jeff doesn't kill himself in the battle, you can win that one and just be like, I'm denying you from winning or from doing that.
Correct.
So that you can bid on each of those as a denial for other people as well.
Correct.
So that letting people know about that is important.
Yeah, which really I feel like the only ones you'd really want to deny for would be, well, I guess all three of the
yes.
pre-battle ones, seppuku, hostages, and Ronin. Like, oh, I know Zach has 10 Ronin, but if I outbid him, he can't send any Ronin to fight me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
I'm gonna deny you Imperial Poets and not take the points.
Right.
I don't think that says May on
No.
it. So
Right on. Well, that wraps up rules and rules explanation. And I think now it's time to get into the contentious part of this, where we talk about gameplay and how it makes us feel on the inside. So,
I like it.
I like it too.
we're just skipping right past gameplay and going into final thoughts.
Everything is terrible. Everything is awesome.
So, in Rising Sun, you're playing out over these 3 seasons.
Yes,
And trying to take control of a changing set of regions.
that is correct.
Like they're shuffled up and they're different each round. We're not really
up to
shuffled
8, but
That's what if
with
you're playing with
6
6
players.
players.
Yeah.
It's always 2 more than the amount of people you're playing with. So if you're playing with 3 people, it's just 5, and there are 3 that won't be in contention each round. Or if you're
Correct.
playing with 6, everything's always fighting, which
Oh god.
sounds
Total
too much.
war.
Yeah, I don't think that the fighting is too much. The fact that there's always going to be one that's peaceful, I think, is kind of important for that game.
I would say, yeah, you need. I have not played with 6 players. I've only played with 4 and 5, but I have no interest really in playing with 6 players.
Yeah.
Because the fact that you can that having 1 or 2 regions without battle, I think, is important.
But are
Why-
totally useless except for harvest.
So why
Yes.
would you say that that's important then? Like why not have a battle in every round, like in every region every round?
Well, with less players, you would be like, there's one dude here, one dude there, and
Well,
no one
no.
can
So I
touch
mean,
it.
no.
No.
So like
Uh-huh.
like because you're saying you wouldn't want to play a 6-player game because you want there to be a region not in battle. Why do you want a region not in battle?
I know for one, it would let some people if there's like if they only
They're going
have
to camp the base.
yeah. It allows you to put things there for later without having to worry about committing them if you don't think you're gonna like say there are 2 big battles right next to them and you're like I'm not gonna be able to win either of these, and you want say it has a good harvest spot though, you can go there and do harvest and not really worried about anybody else trying to get that from you, which I think would be can be important. I like the fact that I also just like the fact that not every province is up for grabs each round, and so it means that people are going to focus on certain ones more, especially if
I guess we should. I don't think we
Yeah.
ever mentioned that one of the end game victory point scores is how many different provinces you have.
yes,
And
So
it's a huge
Uh-huh.
fucking chunk of points.
yeah. So in one of the games we played, only one time did a region actually come up because we were playing with 4 players, so 2 regions did not come up each round. One of them was the purple one, the Lotus Clan one. It was either only in the second or only in the 3rd round where that one actually became a province where someone could take control of.
That was the first game, right?
No, this is the last one that we played with just
Oh.
us. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I just like that idea is that as soon as that one became available, a lot of people were like, oh shit, it's finally my chance. Or it's a chance for a new one that hasn't already been played out. And so Jeff went heavy on it. You went heavy on it. And
Then I won.
yeah, you did.
Yeah, because at the end of the game, you turn in these, like when you win a battle in a province, you get the province tile.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the game, you can turn in a number of different province tiles for different tier levels of points. It's like
1 to 3, 3 to 6.
3 to 4.
3 to 4, 5
Oh,
to
okay.
6, 7 to 8.
Yeah, for 10, 20, 30 points.
Mhm.
And this is a game where like 60 to 70 is the winning scores. Like, I don't think I've ever seen higher than 70.
No, but I have played a game where Paul got 7, so he got 30, and I was able to get 3, and I was 1 point away from winning that one. So it's not like those things are nice, definitely. They help, but
Significantly.
Yeah, but it's not like if you get these, you're gonna win because there's other ways to get points.
Well, I mean, Paul got him and he won.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying he didn't win just because of that. Is all I'm trying to like. He didn't have 30 points more than everybody else.
If Zach would have done 1 hostage, he would have stole the victory point from Paul, and then they would have tied, and then he would have beat him to honor.
If I would have used my fucking
Oh,
claimed
yeah. I
ability in
forgot
the
about
second round, I would have won.
He completely ignored his fucking ability.
Yeah, I was the Fox Clan, and like right in the middle of the first battle, I'm like, wait, why am I not in this? Oh God, why am I not anywhere except for 2 places?
Oh, fuck. I can
Yeah.
totally put people down
Yeah.
everywhere.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So yeah, there are definitely clans where their effect is on the entire time, like like anytime they move, and other ones are always like in this specific instance you do this.
Yeah, but the Dragonflies clan one is just like put your dude anywhere you want.
Yep,
it doesn't
summon
matter.
anywhere you want.
Yep,
That's not technically always on. It only applies to summoning. So
when you're for summoning, no,
well,
you can do and moving.
But, all right, so it only requires that, but it doesn't help you with harvest.
He's being pedantic. It's not always on. It's only on when you're moving guys around.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I do have to say there's more. There are clans with far better ability, far more universally usable abilities than others.
Yeah, because I would say all of them are sort of like they sort of break the game in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all ridiculously powerful.
This is very true. Yes, and it's and they're all based on different things. So movement is very important in this game. So the Dragonfly are like, fuck it, I can move and summon anywhere.
Yep.
Being able to buy things is important, and so the Bonsai are like, everything just costs $1 for me. This the 5 coin Godzilla is just 1. Oh, I'm doing the training, or my allies doing the training. I get them for free.
That happened twice.
Yes, it did.
And then like the turtle guys, like, oh, my strongholds can not only move around, they count as a force,
and they're forced that you can't kill or take hostage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're permanent, basically on the board.
Yeah, the Fox Clan is just like, I get to spring up everywhere and then kill myself. He was so honorable.
The killing himself is not part of the special ability. We should point out.
You should be playing like that if you have the Fox Clan. Either that or go heavy on Ronin.
The
Lotus Clan is really good at just because for their ability is because normally, because I don't think we specifically said this, when you're grabbing the mandates, you take the top 4 of the deck, and those are the only ones you can do. So say it's just it's 2 betrays and 2 recruits. Those are your only options, and you have to figure out which one's the best for you. But the Lotus Clan just takes anyone they want, flips it over on its back, and just flips
it face down,
so no one sees it, and they get to do whatever they want. So they can bury things they don't want other people to do, or they can they can do a third one of, if they're like, I really want recruit, so we're doing recruit 3 times basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or sometimes 4 times.
Yes, because that's too many guys, Jeff. Too many guys.
Yeah, probably can't do that.
Yeah,
harvest 4 times.
Yes.
Betray 4 times.
I got a card for that.
But yeah, so they all affect very different phases of the game.
Yes, they do.
And none of them are very similar in that regard.
No,
but some are more universally usable
and easier to understand too.
Yeah.
Like the Koi Clan, their ability is any Ronin they get at the beginning of the war phase turns into money, and they can use money as Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you just get Ronin back. Like, no matter how much Ronin you use, or if you win or lose, you just get them back.
Yes. So basically, they would spend any excess money they have as Ronin. So
just be in the battle.
Yeah.
Kill yourself, and then just dump Ronin.
Yep.
You win.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So each clan's focus on specific things. There are a bunch of cards that can help that strategy, and so. Like in Blood Rage, it's basically you don't want to let somebody build up a super, like you don't want to let the Koi Clan get all the money cards that at the war phase they just get 9 money, because then you're like, fuck everything.
Yeah.
And the Bonsai Clan, you don't want to let him get the kami that just lets him buy a card every turn or every kami phase, because then he gets to buy 4 to 5 cards a turn versus everybody else's 1 to 2, and especially those end game cards, that's really powerful. Yeah,
that's definitely how you won your last game.
Yes. Oh, it was a hardcore win that one.
But I do have to say, to stop people from using their advantageous strategies, you have to like completely dump and onto some of the, like, to stop you from getting that kami card. It's like I have to put everything I have there, and I have to have highest honor, because you're also going to do that and try and be highest honor, or you're just going to be like, oh, I can't get highest honor, I'm going to go do something else that's even more advantageous.
Yeah.
And if you're a clan without a lot of money, it's like, oh, I get to train this one card that I can't really afford anyways.
Well, I would say that there are definitely cards. There are a decent amount of cards that don't cost any money. At least in the first 2 seasons, the virtues, because then you can cancel me and then get those virtues.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, but this is the problem, because we were talking about this on the text message a little bit of this most recent game about how you abused this card that was like basic. It was a kami that was like super good for you. And the kami are random, or do you choose them at the start of the game? There's a bunch of different ones.
There are 7 different ones, and you choose
4.
We randomly chose 4, and then we chose the order.
Base game? Is that the base game? It comes with 7 different
they're all
kami?
base game. The models are the
Expansion.
Expansion,
Okay.
yeah. Now, I would say,
So
yeah, go ahead.
so you randomly ended up getting a kami that worked really well with your clan.
Yes.
And the order that they came out randomly worked. Like in that one, the order wasn't the most advantageous.
No.
It was the last kami on the roll.
So if someone had, say, tied with me, but also got the
Which isn't going to happen though, because
it
you were
could
at a
have.
point where you were almost always throwing 3 at it.
but
Or if someone was Lotus Clan, they can bury Train and play Marshall, and then he would only get 1.
Mm-hmm.
But so like they're in the final
don't want to
round, in the
acknowledge that.
final round, like because I had the chance to like I was even higher on honor, and you point out like if you want to play 3, you get it because you're higher honor. But 1 at that point it was the final round, and so there weren't any more cards available that I could afford.
you had a shitload of money.
No, most of my money I was getting at the beginning of combat phase. I had like 3 money at
I
that
thought you
point.
had you started with 9, right? That round.
Yeah,
At
and I'd
least,
spent some by then
Oh,
because
cool.
we'd bought in a round of cards.
Mm.
And so, but at the point when we were making the decision on the kami cards, I only had like 3 money.
Mhm.
There was only 1 card that cost no money that
Mhm.
which was the only one I could get because the other ones were all really expensive.
Yeah.
So it would have been purely dumping all 3 of my special guys to block you from that, gaining no benefit for me, and letting everybody else get to do whatever they want. Versus,
Well-
I can spend these 3 to get one that's actually useful for me and that I can get some benefit from.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and qualify that because we were playing with the Kami Unbound. You would have gotten a Kami that I think you had 4 different cards. So you would have gotten a 4-force guy
Yes.
that you could have put anywhere and he couldn't be killed or taken hostage. So
Yes.
in the game that we were playing, there would have been a benefit for taking that.
What 2 cards did you buy?
I ended up buying endgame points.
That gave you endgame points for what?
It was Stronghold, so he couldn't get that one. Then
Yeah, I got one of the 2 strongholds. You got the other one. So it
Yeah.
denied me 9 points and got you probably about 9.
It got me 6 because I only had
You got one of them. So
Yeah.
getting both of them is a greedy play that
Oh, yeah.
somebody fucked up and didn't
Right.
spite draft it.
Yeah.
So that's understandable.
And then it was the ones on virtues, and I had 2 virtues, so I ended up getting 18 points from it.
Yeah. So like I see what, and this is where I agree with what Jeff's saying. Like a lot of times, some of this, like yes, you can block somebody, but you're dedicating it because alliances only mean you guys don't kill each other in battle. You still fight. You don't
And you
work
get the bonus
together,
from
and
the
you get the
mandates.
bonuses and the things. But your
Which
guys
is
don't.
it is vital.
Yeah. But so when it comes to the kami, there's no block. Like you can't team up with somebody to block.
No,
it's like
you're not wrong
somebody
there.
has to go all in and basically. I'm doing nothing on my turn but stopping you from getting the kami you want.
Which
And
does
that's just
take a
killing my turn.
which does take a recruit to be able to do.
It does, and I will say, however, that you had a chance earlier in the game to get basically an extra Shinto,
Yes.
which would have stopped me from doing something else.
Yes, I
But-
made a mistake early.
Yes,
in the,
yes. So
But also, so there's a problem with this game in the fact that people always complain about Eric Lang games as being overpowered towards one thing or the other at varying levels of understanding of player powers. You know, what clan was it?
it was the Bonsai clan.
The Bonsai are always going to buy cards. They're going to buy a lot of cards. You're not going to win if you only play victory points on cards because people can deny you Marshall, people can deny you lands, people can deny you victory points in battles. Like there's ways to restrict him on other things, and if his whole thing is trying to win on victory point cards, don't let him get Marshall to build up strongholds. Don't let him get victory points for other things. Sure, he's really good at that one thing. He's really bad at everything else. Same thing with the Koi. The first time we played, we're like, wow, Koi is really good. They're going to win every fight. Don't let them win every fight, or only let them win certain fights.
Yeah.
Don't bid against them on certain things. Don't let them get victory point cards. Don't let them always get these other things. Sure, you have to deny on different aspects, but every person is specialized. Every clan is specialized. You can't spend your whole turn, your whole game denying one clan their special power because there's X number of players that also have super specialized powers.
Right. And so, and this is where I have a problem with Eric Lang games because it seems that Eric Lang's version of balance is everything's unbalanced and that makes it kind of balanced. Like the syndrome from The Incredibles, when everybody's a super, nobody's super, like kind of thing, or special, or
But none of these powers are game-breaking powers.
they're all
they're-
ridiculously powerful powers.
They can't all be ridiculously powerful if they're all equally powerful. same thing that
they're
you're
just
saying
in
for the
they're in
counter-argument.
very different areas. Like,
Sure.
this
So
is ridiculously
understand.
powerful in this phase. This is ridiculously powerful in a different phase.
Yeah.
But so it's a giant awkward teeter-totter where they're all way out on one end. If it tips at all, then this one's now really powerful in this game. Like, unless everybody's actively working on this balance, which means that you have to have people who all know the game like intimately to be able to balance each other in the right ways and counteract each other in the right ways, or you end up with just
so what you're saying is a game with a lot of really powerful cards is unbalanced when not everyone knows how to do it well.
I would say the same sort of thing. Like,
Well,
for Food Chain, if you don't know how to play the game, you're good. Like, you don't know the systems well enough, so you're not going to win.
For Food Chain, if you don't know the first 3 cards, you're not going to win.
Yeah. So
those are way overpowered cards because they're all unbalanced.
no, because in that one, like in Food Chain, there's like 2 to 3 main opening strategies.
Sure.
And so yes, newbies, but it's something where the game, like, if
Unless
you're playing
you're
with somebody who's experienced, they're going to house you in Food Chain.
And unless they're an asshole, they're going to tell you, like, these are the opening strategies.
Yes, exactly. Like, it's something that's you can look up one article and see what those strategies are.
That takes looking outside the game or having the other player tell you how to play.
Which in this one, you can't have the other player sit there unless they want to tell you throughout the game, like, constantly, he's getting this powerful. You need to do this, this, and this.
Oh, no, I would
that.
totally do that because...
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the tea ceremony.
And not
Which
just
has
that, too.
never happened in any game I've played. I've never seen people do that. Like, the closest I've come is when I was going to block you, and you went, well, if you do that, I'm going to wreck you with Godzilla, and you're not getting any benefit from this.
Do you want to know why you didn't see that? Because I was pretty sure I was going to win through most of it. When we were playing with Jeff, Julie, and Paul, anytime I saw shit that was I was trying to push people to do, it was just on the cusp of Paul getting annoyed at me of like trying to say, trying to teach people how to play a game. It's like, no, I'm telling them, you do this. This is going to hurt Paul more, and it's going to help me in the process.
And that's how I beat Paul.
Yeah. And
I convinced Jeff to king make me.
Yes.
Because that benefited Jeff more.
It was king making Paul if I didn't do what would give me the most points.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I justified the fact that you needed to do this certain thing. We made an arrangement which conveniently put me above Paul, but it also gave you an extra 15 points.
Yeah.
Either that or you could have lost and not got any
made
points.
Paul
Yes.
win.
And made Paul win.
Yeah.
Same thing happened throughout the game on other games. Sure, we didn't have this much interaction in the first game or the second game, but as you start seeing how people are so specialized in different areas, you realize that you just have to keep everyone in check. Or if you're just going to completely ignore the fact that this one person is good at this one thing and we're only going to try to deny him when it's too late, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And you can try and convince try and convince other people to do things. You can bribe them. Like, I will say I haven't tried bribing people. Jeff tried to bribe you.
You tried to bribe me.
I did try and bribe you, yeah.
Jeff
but I
tried to
knew
bribe
that
me
I was
and-
going to beat you.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't care.
No, exactly, yeah.
But
I mean, I didn't need your money.
No,
I was just
I know.
give me all your money.
Well, and even when Jeff realized, once he actually sat down and thought about the move, and he was like, oh, wait, if I do this, it's actually going to hurt me really bad because he's going to let, the other player we were playing with, Lance, do a bunch of shit that's going to, cost me one of my monsters. You're like, well, never mind. Well, fuck off. Yeah. You could throw 12 money at me. Sure, I don't give a shit. I'm still not doing the one thing that you need done. Like, there's no way no amount of arguing or trading
I would lose far too many.
Suggesting would have changed
Well, that was kind of an extreme situation.
That was an extreme situation. My alliance partner screwed me by not playing the thing that would have benefited both of us the most.
Well, then he also immediately betrayed me. So
Yeah.
And he was able to put out one model because he couldn't do a second one.
Yeah. The last time we played, like I said, Paul and I allied first, and I was like, okay, well, I know that he's either going to backstab me and I have good things to do against him, or he's going to do that. And then at the combat, we were in the same areas and we still fought against each other, even though there's not a kill against me versus him. We had to outbid each other, and he took my hostage to make sure that he can get certain things.
It's a Cold War.
Yeah. I mean, even though we were allies, we knew that we weren't really allies.
Yeah, alliances are not alliances in this game. They're like a temporary truce of convenience.
Yes.
Calling them an alliance is vastly misleading.
And you never want to ally with someone that when you do something that you want, it's what they also want. Like, I would never ally with Zach if I wanted train and he was also wanting train.
Well, and in that first one that we played, or the first round that we played, I made sure I wanted to get Jeff as an ally because one, he was the Lotus clan, and I'm like, he'll be able to do whatever the fuck he wants. And then also, I knew that
if we both got it, we could have super denied the Marshall.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is brutal.
Oh yeah. So there's two things that I sort of have a problem with this game. And one is just the fact that you can't let the first two people ally together and then marshal
on like first turn
and then just have them both marshal.
I don't think that's super valid because you're drawing randomly. What if neither of
No,
them
I understand.
But if that comes up,
so that's where, especially if Lotus is first or second player, don't let them ally with the other.
They'll never be first or second because of their number.
They were first in our game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many 4-player game? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
4-player.
Yes.
Sorry.
So if Lotus is one of the first two, don't let them ally with whoever the other first two is because they can potentially super deny Marshall to everyone else.
And just like in Food Chain being like, hey, don't play that stupid card as the first one. It's, here are three things. Like there's like, you two just don't ally together or something like that.
Marshall is critical for building strongholds and getting more dudes out on the map.
Uh-huh.
And if only the first two players do it, they control the first whole round.
They end up with 2 extra strongholds right out the gate.
Yep.
And so
possibly two if they have the money to support.
If they have the money.
Yeah.
Which I think, don't most clans
I think some start with 5.
Yeah.
Do some of them start with 5?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, hell, even then you could almost work together where it's like, oh, I have 7, you have 5. Well, now we both have 6.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you could do it.
Once the first two people do that, they're out of money. And then you play trains and start getting powerful cards and they're stuck.
But like Zach pointed out, especially early in the game, there's plenty of training cards that don't cost anything.
Well, and like it's, if you're playing, like you would need to realize that basically is that they're out of money. Like, don't play the recruits and stuff like that. But that's also because then they're going to be able to bring a bunch of people. And that's, you need to spend your money in training to get the monsters and stuff, or doing betray to get.
And moves. And this is where I have the issue because you brought up the comparison to Food Chain and like how you need to have knowledge of the game to do well, which I agree that that's a similar thing. But the difference is that in games like this, if any one person doesn't have the knowledge, then it falls apart and somebody can take advantage of that. Whereas in Food Chain, like it's, if one person's fucking up, then they're just out of the game doing their own thing, while the remaining people who know what's going on.
I mean,
that's sort of also what happens in this game.
Yeah,
not often. Like I mean, there's.
Oh yeah.
I feel like in this one, it requires everybody doing their part to keep it balanced. If one person fucks up and makes a mistake,
I meant more like if someone falls behind in this game, it's like
then they're fucked off too.
Totally
fucked. But them being behind and playing poorly because they're new could unreasonably benefit one of the other players. It doesn't benefit everyone equally. Like, if they're making poor alliances to where one person is reaping massive alliance benefits,
then the other people should not.
Yeah, you have to speak up. You're like, you're letting them go behind, so you're benefiting my opponents. I'm either going to manipulate you and make sure that you think that I'm the good guy.
And then the opponent is not. And then the opponents aren't leeching, or you call that shit out. And you're like, guys, look at this fucking shit that Jeff's doing. This is horrible, Jeff.
The first
stop
person
doing that. And
first person to take advantage of the noob is gonna win, or the person that can take best advantage of the noob. Because I mean, like even when we were playing games, the last game we played, Jeff was on his phone half the time and wasn't trying to make allies. So I was like, all right,
because I was so far out of the game that I didn't even have a remote chance.
You weren't being active.
No, there was nothing I could do.
How was there nothing you could do?
Because we didn't know that we could put strongholds anywhere, and I couldn't get forces out anywhere enough to where I could play a marshal, and so I could play one guy a turn.
So you couldn't do anything with the cards. You couldn't deny any other people.
I went like for monsters, and that's another portion of this game that I will bring up soon.
how awesome monsters are.
How totally useless,
unbalanced, and broken they are.
How useless the monsters can be for how awesome they are. I think the monsters are a total trap for money, and they're not useful enough to where you can actually use them unless you are in a very specific situation.
Well, that's like saying that clan powers are useless if you're not in the right situation.
I've played at least 3 games where I've had a lot of monsters, and then almost over half amount of the time they haven't been able to make any difference in the actual battles that they're happening.
Maybe you're doing the monsters wrong.
Or the game just has way too many, like, all right, I have Damios, they can't do anything. I can't do this. Oh, I take that monster hostage, And so that monster is not even in the battle anymore because you can just target that monster first, and then it doesn't matter.
I mean, one of the first games we played, Zach almost won just because he had a monster.
Well, and to somewhat disagree with Jeff, like, so I think, and this is where I think monsters are just too swingy and imbalanced, because in the game we most recently played, Lance, the other guy we were playing with, he managed to get all of the Oni. And at one point, like, one of the Oni was like, if you win a battle with this Oni, you get 3 points per Oni. So he got like fucking 20 points right there, which again, that's a third of what the typical points scored in the game are.
But that's where you don't.
Yeah, how many lands did he actually win? Just the one that one guy was in. So all you have to do
for
is
that round, yeah.
But
if you hostage that one Oni, he wouldn't get that power.
Right, but that requires again, like, you know, oh, I'm like, I want to win these, but oh no, I have to make sure that he doesn't, or I have to convince somebody else to go over there and hostage that Oni. So we have to break what we're doing to do this thing, and it just ends up that kind of gameplay isn't satisfying for me, because it's like, I can't, if I play and focus on my strategy, then, you know, somebody else can do something, and if nobody else is counteracting, like, even if nobody counteracted each other, then it's a race to who's got the most unbalanced monsters and abilities in this particular game, the way the tiles come out, or the way things
which
fall.
is
or
why,
just take the monster hostage and then it's totally useless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the high risk, high reward. You know, hostage.
But I don't think there's enough high reward on the monsters.
Well, like
his
Oni,
whole
his
game.
Oni strategy.
So he's saying he's overpowered. You're saying they're underpowered.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying they're wildly unbalanced, because they'll either work really well, like they worked for Lance, getting all the Oni and then scoring 20 points off of one Oni, or like in Jeff's case, like Jeff had every fucking dragon. Like the dragon are all ridiculously powerful monsters. He had all of them, and he, like he said, everybody just, hostage, so no dragons. So they're widely or
it was like hostage, or
I don't,
or I have like, and this is the Kami, which we will talk about later, where it was like, all right, I'm just gonna put Damio and Kami there, and then like your monster literally does nothing. And then like it's like you could have 10 force there, and then it's like, well, I have the Kami and the Damio and hostage, and
that was also because,
or I can't, or the ability they have period doesn't affect anything.
Right. There is no consistency across anything in this game.
You guys are arguing against each other on the same point.
No, I'm agreeing. Like, I'm pointing out that
it's inconsistent.
Like, I've seen an opposite side of Jeff's where monsters have worked really well, but I've also seen in, you know, one game in person and then watching another game that you guys were playing where monsters were fuck all useless.
So you're saying that monsters are
so they're widely swingy. Sometimes they're super powerful and you're going to win with them, and sometimes you just wasted all your time and you're out of the game, and you know, it's hard to sometimes see where did I go wrong? Like in Food Chain, when I fuck up, I can almost always identify not only like what card, like I can identify exactly where I made a mistake and how it spiraled out of control, so that the next time I play, I can try to avoid that mistake. In this game, it's like, well, I just came in fucking last, and I have no fucking clue what I did wrong. I thought I was playing my everything to the best of my abilities, but nope, I guess fucking not. Or everybody else played slightly better or had slightly better things. There's no point in the game where you can point to something and say, this is where I made a mistake. This is where I went wrong. I should focus on this. It's just, I thought I played really well, but I guess not.
There's too much shit immune to other shit. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
I mean, for that one, I agree on the Kami.
And it's like, because the Damio are just immune.
Yes,
but then there's that most
I built a strategy specifically to get my Dami super powerful, and I even had one of my Damio that I couldn't bring out because I couldn't bring him out because I was focusing on getting that Shinto up there, Adrian. So me getting that means I had to sacrifice something else.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
But there's the Damio, normally there's like 4 of those or 5 of those, but with the Kami expansion, there's now like 9 of those.
Where you can't kill them, you can't
move them,
you can't hostage them, you can't
Yeah, but some of them are beneficial to whoever wins. Like the harvest one, whoever won that area wins a harvest.
So I will say this one: the ones that they played, there weren't like it was
like highest honor can't be killed in that location
in the most recent game.
In the most recent game,
how many different virtues you have? It's how many force it is.
Well, it's how many different types of cards, and that was
that
one worked. I think that one combined with the Bonsai Clan is pretty OP.
Yeah,
because that's the one I don't think you've played with it yet.
Strength 4 or 5.
Well, because it's already, it lets me buy a card, and then the Kami is it's 1 force for every different type of season card you have. And if you're the bonsai, you're gonna have
all of them. And
so in the autumn rounds, I had 5 force, and I had a 5 force guy I can move anywhere that no one could touch.
So you can win one area.
With that, I can win one area with that guy while focusing on all my other guys on other places.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the most important thing to understand about this game, it's a balanced game, but that's also description of how Eric Lang designs games.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a reason that that you guys don't like Chaos in the Old World. It's because you guys won't play it enough to actually understand the balance.
I like Chaos in the Old World. I understand that.
I fucking hate Chaos in the Old World.
You do like it?
Yeah.
See, I mean,
But it's a game like this where it takes a lot of plays and knowing kind of what everything is. You need
Yes.
the entire picture, which
I can see that. Yeah.
this game you need a big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's
and,
a
and
new
you have
game.
to be playing with
Yeah.
the right people who are down for a game where you're the only way it's going to work balance wise is if you constantly
know
are
what
telling
everything is.
everybody else, like keeping other people aware, make sure everybody's involved in the game and aware of what's going on so that they can all counteract when they need to and how they need to in just the right way to keep somebody from just running away with something.
but I mean,
Well,
like,
'cause
so when we played, you weren't talking about how other people were running away with the game. You weren't trying to convince other people to do things. I mean,
well, the first game,
Because
the one
most-
that I
well,
played
mo-
with you, Ant,
Most of the time when you're trying to convince someone else to do that is like, this person is super winning. Now make sure you are less winning to make sure they don't so everyone else, basically you're last. The first person might go to second, but whoever's in second or third is now going to be in first because you stopping someone else is certainly not going to put you in first.
But it can help you move towards that.
It can, but
very rarely.
but that's the hard part about this game. It's
Mhm.
like I'm taking a worse move to help other people and stop the first player.
And
You
the
just got to convince them that it's the best.
Yeah,
And so the game I was playing with you, Ant, where you're like, oh, I wasn't actively trying to convince anybody because the only thing I could tell in that game was that I was fucked. I just was constantly everything I tried to do to make happen to where I could move up, I was getting thwarted. I was never ahead in points. I was never ahead in end game things. I won 2 battles, so I think I won 3 over the course of the game. So I got to turn in for 10 points. Where everybody else was winning 4 or 5 and turning in for 20 to 30, and yeah, so it was never I could identify oh, Zach's winning because it was my first time playing, so I couldn't tell how to thwart Zach or thwart Paul or it was my first time, and so all I knew is that everything I tried I'm putting a bunch of guys here in this thing. I'm going to try and win this. And then somebody came along nope, all of your fucking guys are dead. And the ones that aren't are negated. And now I win this province. And sorry for all that work you did. Fuck you.
Sure, but what you're saying is the first time you played, you were losing, so you basically gave up on the game before you had a chance to figure out what to do next time.
Because I saw, anytime I put any kind of thought or plan or strategy into doing something, none of that mattered because of something somebody else could do.
So now you
my
know.
plan-
Now you know.
And that's the
don't do
kind of
that.
games I hate. I like games where I can actually make a plan and a strategy and execute it without somebody just coming in like a fucking Miley Cyrus wrecking ball and just scattering everything to the 4 winds that I never saw coming.
Yeah,
because
but what you're saying
Godzilla.
is you like games that you can plan out that people can't interrupt. So you're saying you're not planning for other people interrupting things.
And then I will
but it is a game that you need to know what those other people can do. That
But
especially
nothing-
on
but
a
it's
first
not,
game.
But it's not like it's hidden.
Yeah, nothing is hidden
Nothing is
information.
hidden,
I was
so-
about
I
to
mean,
say the
no,
exact
but there's
same
a shit
thing.
ton of
This
there's commies,
example-
there's monsters, there's 1,000 different
that
fucking
you can
things to
read
keep track
before
of.
the turn even starts.
So yeah, go around. Okay, then we'll drag the game out while I read everybody's fucking thing before I make any decision, so I know exactly how you guys can all affect me.
Yeah.
And so this
But
game will take
that's-
5 fucking hours.
Because that's how you like to know everything.
Or then I get blindsided and then I get accused of, oh, well, you didn't know they could blindside you. That's your fault.
no,
well,
I'm not
then what
saying
the
that.
fuck do you want me to do?
To listen when we read the cards out loud.
And then memorize it for the entire duration of the 2-hour fucking game?
No, but anytime that something
2
comes
hours
up
is a
where-
low end on that one, by the way, Adrian.
Right?
every time I was thinking of doing something, if I didn't remember what it was, I'd be like, what does that guy do again? And when Jeff was betraying people, I was totally, be like, no, Jeff, you should be betraying this guy because he's going to be helping you more or hurting you more. And
And then I know to target Zach for every one of those.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
But which luckily you can
Always
only do one
target
of them.
Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? And that's one problem in this game, but it's not the game's fault. Is that when you have a reputation of always double talking, when you try and double talk or single talk, everyone's like, "Fuck you, Zach." And
Fuck
I'm
you.
like,
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the exact opposite. To my detriment or not, God
Yes.
damn it, I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
It's a long game.
I don't really feel like it would take very long if you knew everything.
Well,
but
see,
then
we've had
this works,
we've
like-
had a 2-ish hour game, but we've also had like
We had a
3.5.
5-player game at game night that ran like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
That's
then when I
because-
played a 4-hour game at like
It wasn't
4
4, it was 3.5.
When I meant to play a 4-person game, I was like, well, now we all know. So it was a 5-person game with 3 people learning it at game night. It took 2 hours and 15. That was where I like, oh, maybe there's a chance for this
Yeah.
game because it'll take a short enough amount of time. I was like, 4 people who know the game, maybe we could knock it out in like an hour, hour and a half, and then it's more in the realm of like the time frame that I'm okay with random fucky shit wrecking everything. And instead it turned into a 3-hour and 30-minute fucking slog where by the end of it I just wanted to shoot myself.
I mean,
And I'm not sure why that.
I don't
that
know.
specific
I
I
game
can tell
took
you
so
why. It's
long.
because we started talking more. Like in the first 2 games,
Which is
it-
an-
So the more you play the game correctly, the longer it's going to
Yeah.
take.
No, because
I mean, not necessarily-
eventually you're going to get to the point where you know that shit is just bullshit and you just move on. Like, there's people that are trying to, like, defend all these logical arguments they're trying to make logical arguments about why you should be doing this and this and this, when all you have to do is say, no, don't fucking listen to him. I'll give you $1. Let's just go.
Negotiation, I wish had more mechanics behind it, but it doesn't.
Like it was-
and
I wish I had anything in the game besides the tea ceremony that suggested that you should actually negotiate.
Well, I mean, in the
'Cause it's
rules,
important.
It's
in
but-
the rules,
okay.
but I mean in the game, like in the actual gameplay, in the mechanics of the game, there's nothing that suggest that there's this much. Because otherwise, you could play any game. If you just say any game you can trade money and stuff, then any game can become Blood Rage or Rising Sun levels of
negotiation. Yeah.
Sure, but it's not even just, hey, I'll give you money to do this. It's, hey, I won't do this if you won't do that. And then you have to figure out, are they fucking lying or are they bluffing? Are they, trying to backstab me or all these things because they're actually just trying to backstab you. And then when you realize that, when to just take the fact that him trying to do this is helping him. Anytime I say something to you that says, hey, do this, I will give this for you, it's going to help me. So are you going to do that or are you going to do what you're...
But I've yet to have a game where that really happened very often, where people
So if we had a game where we backstab each other efficiently and appropriately and in a short period of time, you would like it.
No, he would not like. The
I
game,
still don't
but-
think I especially like the things like the kami and monsters that just add way too much swinginess to it.
But you've already argued that the monsters and the kami are
Swingy.
swingy.
Sometimes
but
they're going to be ridiculously powerful. Other times they're going to be a money sink. And there's no clear way to identify what those are because it depends on what everyone else does and how everything else happens to come
So
out.
what you're saying is you gambled. And you don't like games where you gamble on it.
Correct.
There's a lot of gambles.
Especially
in
It's
this
not a
game.
gambling.
If
It's
I
a
wanna-
gambling
if
game.
I want to gamble,
Yeah, it's-
I'll go up to the casino and throw dice.
Sure, but then when you lose your money, you're
Yeah.
going to complain that the
No,
house has the
because,
advantage?
because I know I'm going into a casino throwing dice.
Well,
Like, I
know
know
that,
the odds.
know that Rising Sun is a gambly game, and if everyone plays
but
balanced,
there's
then...
there's not even clear odds to make intelligent bets based on. It's all, well, this might be a crapshoot, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't.
You got to learn when that early investment you made is like, oh, this guy's useless now. You guys got to not have to worry about him. I'm going to focus on these other things now. Really, I feel like this game is a lot. It is super interactive. Like it is.
Yeah.
I think
If you want
especially.
if you want an interactive game,
Yes,
I have a Rising Sun $100 box for you.
exactly. And so that's where I think people who like to plan on strategy and stuff, it hurts them because you can't take in all the variables you need,
And
so then you're just like, it all feels like bullshit.
I do have to say that a lot of criticisms come like, it doesn't play enough by like a war game. It wasn't designed to be a war game.
no,
but
no.
you have to know that there's going to be bullshit that happens.
Yeah.
But maybe if you don't want that bullshit to happen, maybe it's just not the game for you.
The point is to plan on the bullshit.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want to play a game where you have to plan on the bullshit.
Every fucking game. That's every game for me. I don't want to have to plan on bullshit.
Well, that's why you don't like Blood Bowl.
Also, yes.
But there's a reason I beat you every time in Blood Bowl.
Takes experience.
Yes, which is what we've been saying.
Yes, I agree.
Okay,
I'm just not sure I like it still.
that's fine. That's fine. You can not like the game.
Is there anything actual like gameplay mechanics and things that we want?
Don't play with the Kami.
Okay. So, like we said, the Kami.
There's too much of that swing. I
Because-
think adds
Well,
in there.
and that's the Kami Unbound.
Kami Unbound.
Kami Unbound,
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the two or the there's an expansion that's more monsters. It's more monsters.
Monsters are fine.
Exactly. The
Unless they
Kami
suck.
Unbound adds those Kami, which I can understand people feeling is a bit too much, just because.
And I think that's
like
been
you
a
said,
criticism out there before
yes,
too.
that it adds another thing that can't be
affected and will make a huge impact wherever it is.
Questionably so. Even then,
I would say there's one or two that can make a decent, like especially the one.
It's like only Bushi matter.
Yeah, Bushi and Kami matter, so it could be a giant battle, and then the guy who wins that one is like, oh, I'm going to put this one here. My one Bushi and Kami are beating your 12 monsters.
but if you know that's in the game when you start,
no,
then
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. That also you have to plan for that. I'm just saying that I can understand people are like, it adds just a bit too much, because now if it's
Even if it was like a reasonable battle, it's now like, no, that doesn't.
Now I sort of liked it when we played it, just like it was, you either use the Kami power or the model with the power, but I think both at the same time,
it's a lot.
I felt a bit much.
Yeah, I can understand getting to a medium point where you're like, you get to pick one or the other, and if you pick the power, the model goes away.
Okay,
that'd be understandable.
Yeah,
but I can 100% think that once everyone knows everything about not even in high detail, once everyone knows what all the general things do, just having both of them, I don't think the Kami Unbound are crazy overbalanced. But
I think they would have more impact at a lower player count, where there's only so many places that are even in war, and now there's Kami in every place that's in war.
I would say that they have a higher impact on a high player account because you have to spread out things more often.
Well, then they're not going to have as much impact. Like, you're not going to have a bunch of monsters in 8 different provinces as you would in only 4 that are under battle. Yeah,
well,
but the one that makes it so only Bushi matter.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be. I would agree with Ant in this one. The less players, the more they're going to fuck with everything, because like in a 6-player game,
I said
there's
that.
Bushi.
Oh right,
everywhere.
no, so no, in a 6-player game with only, because there's only ever 4.
Yeah.
And so in a 6-player game, 2 people are just, fuck you. You're not competing.
Yep.
Because it's probably going to turn into players 1 through 4 on the honor are throwing all 3 on their one of their choice.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just the fact that you're sacrificing forces to put on the Kami to get that benefit, and then the fact that you're getting that amount of force or more back is like, you're like, well, then that's not as. I mean, so they're definitely more contested, but
So you're saying it's a gamble?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And you have to plan out for that gamble.
I agree. I'm agreeing with you, Ant. I'm just saying that I can understand people that are like, with all of the bullshit, according to Adrian, going on.
I would agree
that it might be one bullshit too many.
So bullshit always doesn't have to be a bad word.
And then here's the other problem that I have, and this is where
a second problem.
The first problem was Rising Sun. That was the problem.
Yes. No, so another problem would be a better way, not the other problem. Another problem I have with the game is I get what Ant's saying about like, once you get to a point where everybody kind of knows everything, and like even Kami Unbound, once everybody got to know all of the Kami and all of both of their effects, both as the mini and the thing. And then if everybody knew what all the monsters did and what but the problem is that because this is Cool Mini and because the way they run their Kickstarters, they throw in all this extra shit so that as somebody who actually likes variability in games, like I think one of Food Chain's greatest weaknesses is there's no variability. It's always in setup. Like
No, you're right. It's always the same. No, you're right. Yeah.
The games play out vastly different.
No, you were right the first time you
said it.
It's like chess.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you're setting up the game, it's set up exactly the same every time, no matter what. Indonesia, that's another major complaint for a heavy game. Like the fact that companies always start in the same spaces, shipping routes start in the same spaces. There's no variability in the setup. Rising Sun's the opposite end of that spectrum. There's too much you would have to play so many games to figure out what every Kami does, both their mini and their base action.
Some people might want that.
But you don't need it. I mean, but it's they offer you information, so you don't need to know all of them at all times. It's just at this point, it's just these 4. Okay.
Yeah. But some people might want that crazy.
You need to understand how those 4 interact together.
But they're optional. I mean, do you like Agricola? Yeah.
Yes.
Would you like to start throwing in random decks of Agricola?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so let's put that on the same aspect then, because they're optional. We can set up Rising Sun the same way every time.
Yeah.
And they gave us the option to make sure that playability has longevity to it.
Yeah. So they give you different choices, but we were always setting up how they were coming. they were coming out. And we I don't know if it says
So
it might
you guys
say
have read the rules. So do the rules say to randomly do these things, or does it say
No.
to everybody agree on what ones you want to play with? Because if it says
No,
randomly,
it says choose.
it says choose. We would just
we
would
were
choose-
just choosing randomly.
yes.
Well, no, I mean, like when I set up last time, Julie and I were waiting for you, so we were talking about what picture she wanted on the back of the cards.
Yeah.
if she knew, if she the core set is there,
Mhm.
and there is the
And
core
that's
set.
always-
You
it's
always
always
play
the
with the
same.
core set. Now the monsters are optional. Now
The
let's
extra
say
monsters.
the extra monsters. Let's say that there was 2 monsters that we thought were overpowered each game, like each
or not
just in
powerful
general.
enough.
Or not powerful. No. I'm on the other aspect.
Oh,
Say
okay.
that there was monsters that are too powerful. I would take those 2 monsters, I would shuffle them up, and I would pick one or the other. And then you have one powerful monster, and that makes Train that much more powerful. Or I just leave them out. Same thing, the different symbols on the back of the cards have different types of game mechanics, so you can play in different styles.
Mhm.
Hey, we want to be more interactive this way, we play with this symbol. Hey, we want to be more active this way, we play with this symbol. If you don't want variety, then just don't add them. That's the whole point. They just gave you extra things to make sure that you increase gameplay.
You can do the ones that you want and learn them, and then be like, I feel like I've learned these enough. Now I can go to different. Now we used the different cards every time we played. One, because I just wanted to see what all the different types were.
Still trying to figure out what you want.
Yeah. But yeah, you can totally just be like, you could look through the cards and like, this seems like a cool one. Let's do this, and then you can play with that one, and then you'd have a better sense of knowing which ones were coming out. And do the kami? Does it say randomly choose 4 kami or
The
choose?
kami's randomly 4, but it's only ever the 8
Yeah,
or 7.
7. Yeah.
Yeah, 7. It's only ever 7. And that's the same thing we both said a
Yeah.
5-player game is better than a 6-player, is because you want that little bit of variety in there to
Yeah.
make sure that it's not just obvious.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's great
Uh-huh.
for people like you guys,
Yeah.
who both love Eric Lang games
Uh-huh.
and that style of game. Like,
Yeah.
I was looking through Eric Lang's list of
Oh,
games.
no.
There's
He-
one Eric Lang
Yes.
game that I like,
Mhm.
and it's XCOM.
Yeah.
Every other Eric Lang game I've played, I don't like.
Yeah.
I've only played this in Chaos and Eldworld.
You haven't played Blood Rage even?
No. And to counterpoint your same thing, when I play Agricola, I play with the E deck.
and I think occupation and improvement cards are bullshit anyways. So
Well,
that's why
which
I
is why you like
Caverna more.
I think Agricola, there's enough of the base game there to like, those are a
Which-
small bit of randomness in the game, so that'd be like if you just played with the random kami and there weren't fucking ridiculous monsters or the season cards were always the same and the monsters were always the same.
And
Like Agricola, whichever decks you're using are a small bit of variability, which I like a small bit of variability. I don't like ridiculous over the top fucking 5 different things are variable.
And there might be a version of Rising Sun that I enjoy the most that's kind of the same every time, like Caverna versus Agricola,
Right.
where it's not just like there's just
Sure.
stuff
I mean,
that
if you-
could change, but it's the amount of effort that I want to put forth in
that's
learning
where I
all
am.
of those variabilities.
I think there probably is a setup of Rising Sun that I could enjoy.
I don't think so, but I think
I think no.
No, that's wrong, Adrian.
Well, because and here's why I think that. So, although I don't tend to like area control games anymore, there are some area control games that I have absolutely loved.
Inish.
I liked Inish. I loved Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones has the same like negotiation and bickering and like, oh, when are they going to backstab me and come for my castle and all of that, which I actually like in games. And so I think with the right setup, with the right kami, the right monsters, the right season cards, the one thing that's going to continually get in the way of Rising Sun, though,
is the fact that the minis are not painted. Paint your minis.
Also, yes.
I feel it's just you
like
would want
the
to
end
put in the
of-
effort to find it.
No, well,
Raiders of the Lost
well, so
Ark,
that I
faces
mean that's a
melting
big
off.
problem that gets in the way.
Finish.
But the other thing that's going to get in the way of ever finding that perfect game of it is the way, and I haven't even gotten to why this is one of the things that irritates me the most is those fucking the
Mandate cards.
the mandate cards and how random that shit is and how you can just get super fucked because the ones you needed to do this turn other people got to do. And sorry, fuck you, unless you're the one group who they get to choose. So yeah, that's what's going to get in the way of there ever being a perfect setup for me for Rising Sun. Otherwise, like I've had moments of fun playing these games. There's been times when I like, especially in our most recent game, there are times when I laughed and like things went well and it was like, ah, sweet, that worked out the way I planned, and like, oh shit, that was nuts, and And there's been moments of joy, but
And then
ultimately,
it's like, hey, I have Godzilla now.
ultimately, it's not
These
been
turtles?
worth the
Yeah.
time
I
investment.
ate those turtles.
Chomp chomp.
Your turtle bases are
Yeah.
turtle soup.
CCMF. Chomp chomp, motherfucker.
Yes.
The other expansion, the Dynasty Invasion, which
There's
you didn't play.
No.
Oh, that's the Sun and
Yeah.
Moon clans.
Yes.
Yes.
It adds for retail buyers. It adds a 6th player basically, and it adds two new clans, and they cannot buy monsters. They cannot buy the base monsters. They can only buy lucky gods, basically, which
no one else can buy if they're
That
not
is
those
correct.
two
Yes.
clans.
Now, those two abilities are also pretty broken in ways.
As they
yes.
are.
For the one time we saw them,
Yeah,
we
no,
also
no,
can see how they can be in
No,
balance.
no,
but
I mean,
with-
just broken. Like they break part of the game. That's what I mean when I say that, and I don't say it in a bad way. But one is whenever they tie with somebody and they beat them by honor, that person loses a money and a victory point, and they gain a money and a victory point.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And then the other one is every figure they have is a minimum 2 force, but they can only have 2 figures on each province. So that's where they can just be
Stunned.
Yeah.
Stunned,
I'm
Adrian.
gonna go vomit real quick.
I didn't really think that they were that bad.
no,
Unless you
it's-
take advantage of that specific thing.
That's what I mean. It's you have to know how they like the first half of the game, or the first half of the game. People weren't realizing.
Yeah,
Don't tie with Paul. Either crush him or just
don't even fight.
Don't even fight.
fight it or crush him.
yeah.
We had a fight. I think it was you and I, right?
Probably.
I think it was you and I and Paul. And I
Mhm.
was like, you tell me which 2 you want to win. Paul
Yeah.
has 2 money. You have more. You had 6 money. You had
Yeah.
6 money. I had 3 money, and Paul had 2 money.
Yep.
Paul's gonna put 2 money on something.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me which 2 you want,
Yes.
and I will take the other one.
Yep.
That way, we make sure Paul does not get any of these. Because if he
Yes.
ties on any of them, he's gonna steal points from us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And nobody tried to get above him on honor. Even though I fucking told you, Jeff, the way to
Yeah.
get higher honor than him.
I wasn't going to believe you.
I know.
This is your own fault.
And it's like you're stabbing yourself in the foot, and you're like, fuck you, Zach.
No, fuck. I will gladly stab myself because fuck you. I'm not listening to what you have to say.
You see what you've done, Zach?
Yes.
I understand. Yeah.
I understand.
I lost a game and Jeff killed himself.
And the other one
but
with,
so,
with
I-
having 2 force is you
Oh,
can only
yeah.
have 2 people.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice for spreading out, but if you spread out too much, then you're doing that. You know,
Or-
it's
So, like, one positive they have is they put 2 people because they can only have 2 Shintos in general, like out on the kami. That literally means they can be like, I'm locking this down. Nobody can touch that shit because it's 2 force on each of those. So that's 4 force they're adding to a kami.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you'd have to not only get the
Oh,
monster,
so they're stupid overpowered on Kami, but they're like mediocre.
but they're
elsewhere.
overpowered on one. If they find one that they want, and they're like, well, they're getting that one. No use crying over spilled milk. Just deal with all the other ones. But they're also super easy to exploit because they can only have 2 figures on the board, and if they have 2 figures and you do a recruit, they can't recruit in that space.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Because you have to recruit on the strongholds.
exactly, and even with Shinto, you have to recruit them on the province, and then you move them up.
Oh.
So
Okay.
they have a very heavy fucking negative that
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah,
Hardcore
no, I was
on that
just,
level.
like that one sounded like one where it's like, oh, well, that's kind of a good positive, but
Yeah.
the negative I think outweighs it. Whereas
Mhm.
the other, like
But,
the one
yeah.
Paul was apparently playing, where the
But you
tie
have to-
fuck
you
that.
have to tie though. Like
Exactly,
you have
and-
to gamble on ties.
And it's I was like Paul, this is like your perfect fucking your winning by ties. That is the Paul fucking win.
he was mind gaming the shit out
Yeah,
of people.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us to like the end of the second turn where I was just like, nobody fucking tie Paul.
Just everyone
Calm your
stop.
shit down.
Yeah.
Everyone's just
Yes,
weeping.
Just
Yeah.
understand where he's gonna put the money. Let's
Yeah.
stop.
I-
Lose or win.
Yes.
Just don't fucking
Yeah.
die.
Well, 'cause, like, one of the times he was like, he had like 10 money and I had 5, and I was like, all right, I know which one I want. I put 4 money on there because either he's not going to bid on it and I'll win, or he's going to put 5 to try and tie me and then he'll win, but he won't get that extra shit. So I think like most of this game, or like, and I think it's a lot of his recent games too, are the first time you look at shit, you're like, that is stupid overpowered. How, like, this is bullshit, until you realize you understand it. And then you're like, okay, now I can think of ways to try and counteract that. and then it gets better.
It gets better.
Yeah.
Like after high school.
Exactly. It gets better. It gets
Yeah,
better.
it gets better. I do have to say, they added how many of those gods to those two?
7.
7 different ones?
And there are 7 each round. Like, they all come out each
Game.
game.
Okay.
There's no variability for those.
All right.
And some of them,
They seem like they would be cool if they were in the regular game too. And I feel they're like, we don't want to balance this, and so only these 2 clans can get them.
yeah, but then you don't have to worry about their ability counteracting with any of the monsters.
No.
So they're like, well, we're going to balance these around these 2 clans,
Mhm.
but these 2 clans are balanced around these monsters.
Yeah. That's sort of.
now,
I think,
Yeah.
I think the monsters are slightly better than those.
Yeah.
yeah. I think
There's no huge creatures. They're all pretty.
They're
No.
quite specialized.
There's one that's a Daimyo and a stronghold that's pretty cool.
Jesus.
He rides a turtle.
Yeah, he rides a turtle, but getting him with the moon one, it hurt me more often than not because it's like that's already one figure there. There's one more where it's a Shinto, where when you place him, you can replace somebody's Shinto. That with the Moon Clan was super OP, and so that's
I enjoy the horse shit that comes out in this game.
Yeah, no, I did.
But
no, so I was gonna say, do you think you need to play with both of them or none, or do you think you can get away with just playing one?
that's
I would feel that until everyone, if you play with everyone that knows the cards,
Yeah.
and at least knows the gods that come into play,
Mhm.
you should play with both.
Okay. Because then there's
it's-
competition.
Yeah, then there's competition.
Okay.
And then you should reduce the number of monsters down.
Uh-huh.
Because when we played, I didn't realize how that interacted. I
Yeah.
thought you could buy monsters or gods.
Oh yeah.
I
You
would
guys had a lot
have
more
just
choices.
had the 2 core monsters and
Uh-huh.
+1.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like once eventually you get to the point and you understand what the gods are versus the monsters are, as long as you balance out the number of monsters versus the gods,
Mhm.
then you're kind of spread out
Gotcha.
and you know the balance that you
Okay.
you have there.
So final thoughts?
is gameplay over.
Yes.
I think we. I don't know. We could probably ramble for another hour.
Oh,
if we really
100%
wanted
we
to.
could.
but
Also, you fight in this game.
Yeah.
yes. There's combat. Right on. So let's do final thoughts, and let's do them in a sandwich style manner. So we'll start with you, Ant, as the guest.
No, this is not going to be a shit sandwich, Adrian.
Yes, there's gonna be
No,
a bunch
it's
of
not.
shit in the middle.
No.
We're doing the old management technique of starting on a positive, ending on a positive. Ant, what are your final thoughts on Rising Sun?
So I played Blood Bowl 3 times this week. Surprise Bloody Minute.
How'd your games go? No, wait.
So I really like Blood Bowl.
I really still like Blood Bowl.
So I really like the game. I definitely really enjoy the theme. You know, I played L5R for a long time. I like all the Ronin type things. I like all the feudal Japan. I even liked the Ninja Turtles 3 movie when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah,
You know,
me too.
it's okay.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
watch it for what it is.
Mhm. I haven't seen it since then. I remember there was a kid named Yoshi.
Yeah, his name was Yoshi. So I really like this game. I feel that there's times that I play where I play things wrong and I try to overplay it just to figure out how I can take it overpowered or not. There's definitely a balance in this game that people need to figure out. And if not everyone knows the balance, it's going to skew it one way or the other. The first person to take advantage of any imbalance is the first person that's going to take a lead. You might not even win when you find someone is playing their actions wrong or not playing against your actions correctly, but you'll have an advantage. So I definitely think that this, like other Lang games, is a game that everyone needs to play with an understanding of how the game is going. I think that this is something that everyone needs to understand how to take advantage of their powers. I mean, you have varying powers per clan and per card and per action. You need to understand which one you actually need to do, because even though that someone is taking advantage of certain things, that doesn't mean that's going to make you lose. There are things that I can do, there are allies that I can make, there's bribes that I can do that will put me ahead, and I don't need to be ahead the whole time because then people are going to focus against me. Same thing about Game of Thrones. I lose Game of Thrones most of the time, but it's the only games that I've actually won on Game of Thrones. I shot up from 3rd to 1st on a surprise, and people didn't see that coming. Once you get ahead, people start focusing on you. Same thing. in this game, you need to have a balance between certain things, and you need to make sure you keep that balance, and you need to understand that other people have to come up with you so that way you can convince them to help you go up higher. And the minis are really cool, and I'm going to paint them all.
Right on. Well, I guess I'll go next then, since that's what we apparently decided during the shit sandwich discussion.
Correct.
So I don't like this game. Shock. I know.
It'd have been great if
shock
you're
and
like,
awe.
guys, I love this game.
No.
Swerve.
April Fool.
So one, I increasingly don't care for area control games.
Mhm.
In fact, I'm hesitant to play Game of Thrones again because I'm not entirely sure I'll still like it. I think I will. I enjoyed it the most recent time I played it, which was, I think, less than a year ago.
Yeah.
Probably whenever we reviewed it.
You've definitely played it since your
swing,
your
yes.
swing towards heavy games.
And I
so.
still enjoyed it. The difference between Rising Sun for me and Game of Thrones, like when I think about them, so like, you know, and you mentioned Game of Thrones, like that you don't win a lot, and when you have, it's because you've swung up and like people attack the leader. You know, and that makes sense in Game of Thrones because in Game of Thrones there's no end game scoring. It's like it's more of a race. Like the first person to hit this wins. You see the same thing in like a Twilight Imperium, another big negotiating game where like when somebody gets out ahead, people jump on them because
Yes.
it's a race. Like once you hit that marker, you win. This one, and this is one of the problems that I have with just the way all the mechanics work together. Like I think a lot of the mechanics in this game are actually really interesting. I think that there could be, I wish we'd gotten to talk about them more during the gameplay section, but the tiles that you're choosing, the
Political mandates.
the mandates, yes. I think that the mandates, there's problems I have with them. One, their randomness, but then also like the amount of them there are relative to player count and how some people can seem to get shafted by that. I wish we'd had more time to talk about that. But I think that it's an interesting way to handle action selection, and action selection is one of my favorite mechanisms in games. I like, in theory, what some of like the Monster and Kami do and how they give you different abilities and how they kind of subtly change the game. I think there's a lot of cool mechanics here, but when you put it all together, it ends up just kind of being too much like randomness, both in terms of actual randomness, like the order of the mandate card tiles, and then hashtag like bullshit randomness, which is like the randomness, like I can't account for necessarily what anybody's going to do. I can't assume that anybody's going to act logically or in their best interests or in my best interests or even in their not best like
It's a game of emotion.
there's far too much emotion in this game. I want a soulless, dry Euro, not some emotional,
Husk,
gut-wrenchy
I think is the word for that.
thing of this.
Yeah.
And then especially when you couple it with the fact that from a scoring perspective, you and I've seen this happen in multiple games. The last game we played, I raced. I was in the lead points wise until like the very end, and then someone passed me.
Two
and
people
I came
passed
in.
you.
Did you guys both pass
Yes.
me in the actual game?
Oh no. He passed you. I did not.
Yeah, so I got passed by like 2 points at the end. Like so, okay, the game's over. Now final scoring, and then I came in a distant third because so people see you get out ahead, and you're right, and they jump on you. Oh, you're winning. We're gonna shit all over you, and they neglect the person who's sitting at 2 points, but is gonna score fucking 60 at the end of the game and rocket around the score track. And I think that kind of hurts some of that innate balance of this is a game where if you're not actively fighting the leader, they're going to get further and further away. Like this could be a game where runaway leader is a huge problem if people aren't playing right.
There are many, many, many ways to stop that.
to thwart other
Yes.
people, yes. And I could see that if you had the right group of people to where you were playing with people who regularly played, so you all got to know all of the things in the game, and you had the right group that negotiation games aren't a problem for you, which they typically aren't in our group. Then I could see this having some promise.
Or have enough time to sit around and do that much.
Have 3 to 4
gameplay.
hours that you want to sit around and argue over 3 rounds of a game. At an hour a round, especially considering how simple this game is from a overall gameplay thing, it just ends up being way too long for what it is. And then like with everything in there, Kami Unbound, monsters, all of that, everything gets way too swingy and inconsistent for what I like in a game. I like to be able to, if I fuck up and come in last, I like to be able to see at least some vague area where my strategy went awry. Not, oh, I just didn't argue hard enough for my case. Like that's too ambiguous for what I like in identifying where I could improve in a game. Like from both of the games that I played of this, I never came in higher than third. I was like third and very last in the 2 games. And I have no idea how I could do anything to play better. Like, convince people to pile on the leader. Okay, well, one, I need to identify who the leader is, depending on where they are on the score track and what cards they have. And that's an ever-shifting and amorphous thing. And yeah, it just doesn't do it for me. I think Eric Lang games in particular, I'm pretty well done with. You know, I'm sure he'll have another ridiculously massive one on Kickstarter that'll be super hyped, so we'll review it. And I have a feeling my review will be similar to this, and that I think it's got some cool mechanics. It's got great art. It's got really good minis. If this is your thing, it's going to super be your thing. If it's not, it's super not. I don't think there's a lot of middle ground. You know, I'm curious to see how Jeff handles the middle ground on this one. Yeah, it's really not for me. I think there's promise there, and I'm happy that some people are really digging it. I really want to sit down and talk to Paul as a heavy gamer who likes this, because I don't know, that seems
honestly
incongruous
he
to me.
There's
Paul's,
he likes a lot. He likes
Paul's
a lot of games.
Actually, super an omni gamer.
Yeah.
He's not a heavy gamer. He
Yeah.
plays heavy games,
Yeah.
but he's not a heavy gamer.
Only a heavy gamer.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't super like it. I'm not gonna sit here and like shit on it and trash it. Like, it's not it. It was never designed for
Yes,
me,
exactly.
and
Okay,
that
yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
I think the people who it is designed for,
Uh-huh.
they'll love it. Yeah, as is the case with Ant, and I'm sure we'll hear from Zach that it is also the case for. So, and you heard that, you know, in the initial thoughts going in, like none of these reviews I think were a surprise for any of us, from what our initial thoughts were to what our final thoughts were. So Jeff, what are your thoughts on Rising Sun?
My thoughts on Rising Sun are reasonable.
Mhm.
I can meet both sides. I agree that the components are phenomenal. I love Eric Lang games if they're the right game. Chaos in the Old World meets my Warhammer Fantasy lust, but both games have a problem where you have to play a fuckload of that game
Mhm.
to understand the balance of the game. You have to really get every little piece of the puzzle in there and to play the best game you can, where you can't just kind of come into it and be like, I can win at this game. I fall well below the 9 or 10 of mass that everyone is on this game. I definitely fall around the 6 or 7 range. I don't love the game. I could see there's a version of this game that, if it didn't have the ton of randomness with all the monsters and abilities and stuff like that, like parts that I love of this game is like, I really like the cool monsters, but I don't think the cool monsters are effective enough. Or maybe I'm just not getting the right monsters, and maybe those monsters don't pop up, and it's hard to tell. And there's certain strategies in this game that, like, we need to stop this person, but you do it, and everyone else is going to do way better because you are the one that's going to stop that person, or just no one does it, and then they continue to win. It's like the Ameritrash level of learning the game. It's definitely going to take quite a few plays before you get the whole thing down, how it's supposed to. I certainly can't gush over this game in any way, shape, or form. I do not despise this game. I would maybe play this game again, but it's not a game I love. And then I do like area control games and Ameritrash, and I like Blood Rage. But I think the floodgates of like options from Blood Rage to Rising Sun went too far. Like with Blood Rage, like you have territories that only have a certain amount of pieces that you can have on those spots. And then there's the center one that's fucking wild card bitches. And every spot in this game is wild card bitches. Like they cut the brakes on this game hard, which I can appreciate. But I don't agree that this is already number 74 overall all time on BGG. I can see it that it's people say that BGG is fucking hype train on rankings, and I definitely agree on this one. I do like Gloomhaven. It's not number 1, but it's great.
Yeah.
But I maybe people are a little blinded on the hype for this one. But I can understand it. Some people love this kind of stuff, and that's fine. But it's certainly not how it's not a game that I need. Like my Dudes on a Map, like I love Inish. Inish is my like number 1 Dudes on a Map game, and it's but
Warhammer.
it's more that's a Chaos in the Old World.
Oh, just Warhammer in general. Dudes
Well,
on a
that's
map.
not a dudes on a map.
There's lots
That's
of
a
dudes.
tabletop board game.
Hundreds
That's
of
a
thousands
miniature
of points of
skirmish game.
dudes.
Yeah, miniature
I mean-
skirmish game.
That is, you're not wrong. That's a shitload of dudes on that map.
Yes, there is a shitload of
A
dudes on
literal
that
ton of dudes.
map. Yes, all pewter.
Yep.
Imperial Guard is expensive. Yeah, I like certain parts of the game. It's entertaining,
Mhm.
but I just can't. It doesn't grab me by the balls and just
Gotcha.
rip me into the game. And it's like, I want more of this. And the thing that I think would make me like this game, I don't want to put forth the effort to
Gotcha.
play as many games as I would need to understand everything in this game,
Uh-huh.
because there is so much.
Right.
It's a good game, but it's
A good but a flawed game.
yeah, it's not what I'm looking for.
Right. Do you feel like any sort of like feature bloat, like just too many things going on?
It's so many, and the things that I want to be fantastic about this game
Mhm.
aren't great. Like I really love the monsters, and I want the monsters to be like, I bought this fucking dragon, and it's hostage.
You gotta have a lot of money to support the dragons.
Clearly.
You can't just buy a dragon. You're like, I got a dragon now, guys. And I'm like, well, I have one money, so I'm gonna put these cuffs on him, and he's mine now.
Yeah,
Can't
And-
do that, Jeff.
and that brings up a point of like I don't like the battle system. The bidding in the blind bidding in the battle system can make it so. And people have brought this up online that you can just be like, I have Ronin, I have the most money, I have one dude there, I kill myself, get honor, and throw a bunch of money out, and I win. And it cannot matter what's there unless you really plan around that.
Mhm.
But I just don't like the battle system. If the battle system didn't have that random, well, not random, but like the bidding system behind it, and it was just sort of like, I'm strategizing my force versus your force in like the order that it just happens to come out, I might like a little more, but it's just too, I don't know. It's another layer on there that it's just blah. Yeah, I don't like the battle system.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, and in a game of finesse, when you can gamble,
I don't
that
like,
battle
I don't,
system
I don't,
is introduced.
I wish it was more of a war game than it is.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
totally understandable.
Yes.
Okay.
That, I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had expectations that it's a dude on a map game, but it's really coins behind a screen game.
Yeah, yeah. I wish it was more of a war game, and I understand that it's not, and it wasn't designed to be that. It's just I would enjoy it more if it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
More like Blood Rage or something like that.
Yeah,
In that,
like-
in that respect, because it's
Yeah.
more about the figures on the board.
Yes. And I do like Blood Rage and Eric Lane games in
Right.
general, but this one was not for me.
Gotcha.
Right on, Zach. Bring us home.
All right. This one was for me.
100%.
Um,
I'm surprised your name's not embossed somewhere on the box.
right. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree 100% with all the stuff that Ann said.
100%.
100%, except the painting one, but that's just because I don't
You don't paint.
paint, but I don't have the effort to do that. And
No, we have an alliance. We'll use his copy
Yeah.
until mine is painted.
there we go. Yes, I'm fine with that. So I betray and take your
Betray. Your copy is replaced with my copy,
Yep.
and
But I 100% think this is the most Eric Lane game. This is double down on the things that make Eric Lane games.
like I said, they cut the brakes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I totally understand you.
It was
hating
like
yeah,
it's like it hit with a van full of gasoline. Really sucked.
yeah. This game's a bloodbath just in terms of all of these different systems and different powers meshing with each other and like trying to figure out what's like. Basically, this is, I think, in that regard, I'd be in the center, covered in blood, laughing, just because I'm as you know, I'm very tactically minded, and so I can always like, I don't care about the strategy. It's always like whatever's happening right now. Like, well, all this shit came out. All right, well, let's just try and turn what I want to do based on new information I'm just given right now. Who cares about what I was doing previously? I want to focus on this now. And I think that this game is built for that. I really, unlike Jeff, I really like the battle system. The one thing I actually liked about Cry Havoc was its battle system, which I feel like this took and refined. And it changed. It did change how, because instead of the figures that you put on the map, it's now the money that you have. But the blind bidding, I really like. I like that winners have to give losers the money, and you know in what order the battles are happening. So you're like, if I go heavy on this first one, it's going to hurt me in a later one. It's going to help these opponents on these other ones, and it's a giant. This is like you're just trying to balance a whole bunch of plates on spinning plates right now in this game, and I think for me at least, it works amazingly for what it does. I've been trying. I remember you telling me that it was like 78, and I'm like, is that when we were talking? It was 78, 74, and I was like,
yeah, it's climbing quickly.
And I was like, I was trying to think, and I was like, I think this might be my favorite area control game. The only exception to that would be if I had 6 players, I would rather play Game of Thrones, just because I think at 6 players, that one's for me at least the perfect area control. But outside of that, I wouldn't want to play it. So for me, I'm like 74. If it's my favorite or second favorite area control game ever, it's like, I mean, that for me at least, it's like, that sounds like I would put it past that. There's a lot of games on the board, BGG that I think it's a lot better than, but that's all personal opinion.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think none of the games I've seen that have ever been won are like, no, those have never been the best game. So, but like, yeah, and that's all personal stuff. And it's just, so I never take much. I don't know.
I mean, clearly the best area control game is Blood Bowl.
Correct.
Jesus.
I'd agree with that. 100%. It's all about tackle zones.
All about, yeah. Yeah, that's it's basically what everybody, if this game was made for you, you're gonna love it. If not, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
Or be mediocre on it.
Well, there are parts of it for you at least.
I think you'll know, like, you have, I mean, like, because you weren't sold on it initially, were you, Jeff?
No.
But there are parts you like.
I liked Blood Rage, and I was like, oh, okay, one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, God, one of those.
Yeah.
Then I realized my mistake.
Yes, exactly.
Right on. That wraps up the review then.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh.
For cost and availability for this game, if you are interested in picking up the retail version, that is available for right around 80, low 70s, mid 80s, depending on where you get it online. You might be able to find a Kickstarter copy at your local game store if they backed extra pledges.
Yeah. If you have a chance to get Kickstarter,
do it
at a reasonable price.
No. Spend an unreasonable amount of money, please.
Yeah. Well, I spent $130 on mine.
Oh, for like everything you got?
Yes.
And you got like everything?
And shipping.
Okay.
So I didn't get the metal coins or the thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And what was your pledge?
Extra $20.
Yeah,
Extra
for the
$20?
minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got everything.
No,
right?
I didn't get the mat.
I didn't get the mat.
Except the mat. Yeah.
I got everything that he got.
But the mat, but model wise,
Yeah,
like
the expansion.
gameplay.
Here's what he got. I
relevant.
got everything he got plus the coins.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All gameplay relevant things.
Yes. For $130. And what I'm pretty sure the Dynasty Invasion one's already out or close to it.
I think it came out at the same time or very.
And I think you would get that for like you would basically just be missing out on 2 expansions that I believe are coming out at some point later.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So yeah, this is, you've got a narrow window to acquire this game before it's going to be out of print and everybody's going to be charging secondhand market prices, which will be through the roof. So right on. Listener feedback. We didn't get any emails about this.
Sorry, Jeff.
But we did have some BGG responses. Zach, do you have those pulled up?
Yes, I do. Camille says, what would Rising Sun be without all the miniatures and CMON/Lang marketing? Is CMON capable of producing games with good balance, replayability, and interesting mechanics, or is it just the exhibit of board gaming of the board gaming industry?
So I think that depends entirely on who you ask. If
Yeah.
you
Indeed.
ask me, the answer is no.
Uh-huh.
I think they balance their games. I just don't like the way they balance their
Right.
games.
It's balanced around things you don't like, or what it's balanced around. The people
Yeah, like-
versus
like-
the mechanics.
Well, yeah, I think it's, like I said, the syndrome.
Yeah.
Syndrome.
Yeah.
And because I don't like to play them, they have no replayability. And they do, I think, have some interesting mechanics from time to time mixed in their games.
Right.
But I do think it's mostly miniatures and good marketing.
So the way that you describe this game is exactly how I feel about Civ, because you really like Civ. I don't like it that much.
The board game or the PC
The
game?
PC game. It takes a long time to play. The more you play it, the more you learn. The more technical and tighter your gameplay gets, but you have to commit the time.
I also don't play Civ against people.
I don't never.
Well, I mean,
either way, against AI, it's a really long game that takes a commitment to understand it. You really like Civ, so there is a possibility for someone like you who doesn't like this game.
Civ
to
has
play.
none of the randomness that this game has, or like the really swingy stuff. Like it has asymmetric player powers, but they're really well balanced. Like I'm not convinced that these are well balanced outside of direct player intervention.
How many hours do you have on Civ?
Fucking hundreds.
I have, I don't know, 6 hours on this game, and I've figured this shit out. So I just want to say in that aspect, like there is a time commitment, but it's not like you have to play it 100 times. You can see very specific strategies kind of quickly. The balance of it becomes clearer and more defined on why they are exaggerated in certain ways when you start paying attention to different things.
Like, I'm not somebody. Like, I'm not going to say it's poorly designed.
So-
like, it's not designed. I
Well,
don't.
I just want to go ahead and say, can I just go ahead and read?
Yeah, because the actual.
Let me just go ahead and read the second question. You're basically talking about that. Some of the past CMON games have had some balancing issues at their core and heavily depend on being played by seasoned players. All of them of relatively equal skill, like Chaos in the Old World and
Bing.
Blood Rage. To name a
Bing.
couple.
I think I mentioned that one.
Has
Wait, he said Blood Bowl?
no Blood Rage.
Oh, God.
Oh, I thought it was.
We could have had a whole nother episode of that.
Has Rising Sun managed to face the issues of its predecessors,
Nope.
or is it the same old "don't ask, don't tell" game balance policy?
Correct.
Yeah, that.
It's-
Like, they have Eric Lang has a style of balancing his non-cooperative games.
Yes.
and it
Okay.
it heavily involves.
I was like, Bloodborne, that was okay.
yeah.
Yeah. And like XCOM, I think, is balanced well, but
Yeah.
it's a cooperative game.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the
There-
only Eric Lang game I like.
I really think it just comes down to people don't like the type of balance that it is.
Yes,
and because it's a different type than a lot of other games.
yes, it's balanced like
It's balanced because we're all pulling at each other's neck.
yeah. It's like a 5-way tug of
Yeah.
war that's centered around one thing versus like some people think of balance like this is a fucking cube that's
Uh-huh.
sitting on the ground. Like
Yeah.
that's balanced. Like there's different types of balance.
So if we just all pull the water at the same time, it's somehow it just combines into a sphere somehow, and then it's perfect.
Also, this game would be nothing without Lang and Simon and any previous successes.
Yes.
And, like this is definitely built upon all of those previous successes.
And it's like I was saying, if this isn't going to change your mind on an Eric Lang game, I don't think. So.
No.
Or
This-
sometimes
this-
it might
well,
change your mind.
I don't-
on
I
a
don't
Eric
think it will
Lang
change
game.
your mind. I think it will solidify your opinion.
It depends on the game.
It's
Yeah.
the most Eric Lang
If
game.
if you don't like it, if you don't like his style of games, this isn't going to change your opinion. That's what I meant to say.
And
next
it
one?
might, if it's,
If it's too much,
if it's too much for some people.
Yeah.
I've only liked this one and Chaos in the Old World.
Didn't you say those are the only two of his that you've played?
Well, that's what there's
Oh.
nothing in Blood Rage that makes me want to play it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's not that I like his types of games. It's that these two seemed like something that I would enjoy and that I focused on these two.
Gotcha. Okay. Thomas says, have played this 3 times at 3 players, and this morning we'll be playing at a 6-player game. My initial thoughts so far is that 3 players is pretty difficult if you're the one not in an alliance for 2 seasons. Would be interested to hear your thoughts of the game at various player counts.
And
And
you
was
had
vigorously shaking his head.
Don't play
no.
3-player.
Yeah, I feel like even though it can do 3 to 6 players with the expansion, I
4
think
and 5.
4 to 5 is the way to go.
And it can, like the alliance, he mentions the alliance
Uh-huh.
thing, and that can be important, but you have to.
You can, one of the games that Paul won, he was like not in alliance for 2 out of the 3 seasons. So
And-
being in one, it doesn't necessitate.
And there's whole cards
Yeah.
based around betray.
Exactly.
I got 4 betray actions,
Yeah.
and I got to put out 8 models without a recruit or an allied recruit or
Yep.
anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with just 3-player too, you have to take advantage of the fact that they can't fight each other over the areas,
Mm-hmm.
as well as you have really no penalty to betray.
Exactly. Yeah.
The thing that I could say for 3 players, so like there's 7 forum or not forum. I
It's
keep forgetting the fuck
Political mandates.
mandates.
That's the only
There's
one.
7 mandates over 3 rounds. So 3 players is the only, and 6 I guess would no, even 6 wouldn't. Like
It's-
3 is the only time you're all doing an equal number of mandates.
Yes.
Which, like I said, I wish we'd gotten a chance in gameplay to talk a little bit more about the mandates, because that's a major issue I have, is how unequal they are as to who gets to do what number of them. For the record, BGG agrees with you, Zach. Overwhelmingly, 4 and 5 are best, with 3 and 6 are recommended,
Uh huh.
and then, but they're not strongly
Right.
recommended.
Yeah.
Like 4 and 5, overwhelmingly best.
Gotcha. Eric says, if it's anything like the prequel Raising Sun, it isn't really that great. Setup takes a long time. Packing it away for the night takes forever, and playtime takes nearly the whole day, so I don't have time for any other games. The take that mechanism gets old fast too. I swear I have to spend most of my actions replacing socks, picking up pacifiers, finding lost socks, replacing hats, and replacing pea-soaked socks with fresh ones. I've gotten pretty good at converting resources into dirty diapers, but I still have no idea how to actually gain victory points. I suspect I can trade them in for wheat down at the farmer's market, then feed the wheat to my chicken for eggs, then trade the eggs for some dog wool for my neighbors,
Dog
and
wool.
then sell sweaters for victory points. I don't know.
Dog.
Dog wool.
I'm gonna need an answer to this dog wool.
So Ant might not be familiar since he's not on the show a whole lot and doesn't like hear a lot of like the talk behind. Eric is a local gamer who just had a son, and so I think he is officially raising a small child has cost him his sanity.
Yep.
And or the opportunity to play Rising Sun.
Yes.
Also, yes.
Finally, Adrian's boy Andrew. I've played Rising Turd, poop emoji. You've lost me. It's an emoji. 3 times, twice at 4 players, and 1 unfortunate 5-player game that we started at midnight.
Poor decision.
Yeah, that's
Don't
really
do
it's
that.
your fault.
It's poor life choices.
And wondered if we were literally going to see the sunrise before we finished. You wanted to see the rising sun. I mean,
boom, got it.
it's thematic. Bros, better than blood piss.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my favorite Eric Lane game. The Godfather was tolerable.
I don't understand that.
He made a game called The Godfather.
Oh, okay. All right.
I want to try it out. Yeah. I like the battle system, which may or may not have been stolen from Cry Havoc. I would say it was improved upon.
Yeah, they're different enough.
I think he took the base of it.
I
'cause
mean, it's blind bidding, whereas Cry Havoc was area control
But
for
the
combat.
base of using a progressive system to
With
affect
values
the battle.
on them.
To affect with values on them to affect the battle outside of just regular fighting.
Just straight force.
I like the alliance perks, weight of the game, and the asymmetry. Cons: province control means little thanks to all the possible bullshit you can do to each other. Negotiation is lacking. It takes too long with 6 and maybe even 5 players. Not a fan of the extreme overproduction of minis.
Boo! Boo!
Yeah,
How can you say that
I
these
know.
minis aren't the best?
yeah. I think it's just because these things aren't wooden cubes. I'm assuming. That's
Yeah,
gotta be
it's
it.
overproduced.
Yeah, it's
not
over-
wooden cubes.
Some of the clan abilities are stronger at certain play counts, which I can see that a little bit. Like specifically, I've heard the Fox clan can get pretty interest. Like it can vary depending on how many people are playing.
Yeah,
So.
I could see that.
The Dynasty expansion clans can only buy expansion gods, and the base game clans can only buy base game monsters. That screams we gave up on balancing the expansion with the base game.
I couldn't agree to that, but
Yeah,
it's,
that's what it seems like to me.
but they're also pretty different.
Yeah.
I mean, when we played our game, we had 2 and 3, and I feel like the monsters versus the other gods really didn't make that much of a gameplay difference.
I do have to say the other gods were more interesting.
They were more interesting because you've never seen them.
Yes, I would.
They had more interesting powers. Like
Godzilla.
I'm a
They
strong,
had Godzilla. Tell me they had Godzilla.
but I'm a stronghold and a dude. Like
I don't
But
think
you had
Godzilla's power's
Godzilla.
that interesting.
but especially when there's no other way to get
Wait until I
strongholds.
paint him. His powers are gonna
Does
be
this
way
make his power
no,
any better?
The thing about destroying strongholds, it's the fact that it's a 5 force you can move at any spot.
Yeah.
It starts in the
you
ocean.
Can, yeah,
Which isn't that interesting. It's just a 5 force you can move anywhere.
He
That,
crushed.
like right before the battle, you put him wherever.
It's
Because destroying strongholds at that point, unless you're the turtle clan.
no, or if they have
Doesn't
victory
matter.
points, if they have victory points. So
it's another way to get a stronghold, which
Yes.
there is not in the game.
Yeah.
That's the only kind of like you can marshal
Mhm.
or you can get that
it just
one
introduced
guy.
new abilities and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, Kami Unbound expansion adds unnecessary fiddliness and makes the game longer.
That I could agree with.
Mhm.
I think that's a big part of why our game took it almost an hour longer for that second game, was the
Optional.
Kami Unbound.
I'd rate the base game an 8 and the expansions a 5. My favorite way to play will be 4 players with just the base game stuff, but good luck getting people to leave out some of the stuff they paid for.
And that's the issue. Like, yes, you can leave any of this out, but if you've paid for it, people aren't going to leave out stuff they paid for.
If people didn't want to play with the commies stuff, I'd be like, I'm fine. Like I would be fine not playing with that. I was fine not playing with the expand. It's just if people want to play for it, cool. Play with it, cool. If not, I'm okay. Like I got it just so I don't want to play with every single fucking thing in there at once because that's too much.
Right on. We had one response over on Twitter when we posted about the guild. Todd says, I have zero interest in it, and minis are a turnoff for me. Just my opinion. Number 78 is laughable, as most people just received it and maybe played it once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter games will soon dominate the entire top 100 as people back a game and then rate it a 10 just to justify their $150 purchase. I do think there is some of that going on.
Dude, 3 out of 4 of us work at a craft beer brewery. Hype is real.
Oh, hype is absolutely.
No,
Hype
yes.
is something you
Hype
have
is
to
not.
deal with.
Hype is not indicative of quality, though.
Sure. Look at any top 100 beer list. Look at any top 100 beer list in your own city.
Oh yeah, no, and I don't think anybody should consider the BGG top 100 anything but these are like 100 of the most popular games.
So sure.
Especially more and more as time goes on. Back when it was really niche and hardly anybody used BGG,
And you can
maybe there was some hint of it actually being
And you-
indicative of quality.
and you can sort by like a number of votes, and I think that's a more
Well, that's even
that-
more
that's
popular.
It's inaccurate because I agree. The people that pay all this money for the Kickstarters, this Kickstarter was easier to get because everyone flooded to it.
And there's definitely like, and you see this in other areas too. Like when people spend a lot of money on something, they want to justify that expense. So they'll bend over backwards to convince themselves that, spending more money for something was worthwhile to some extent. Like, and I'm not saying that everybody who rates Rising Sun highly is full of shit and are just doing it because they spent $150.
No,
There's 50% of this room loves the game.
Uh-huh.
Like,
and I'm there, and I'll totally say it. There will be people that have rated it because they're just like, I want this game to be high, and there's going to be people that rate it 1 because they're like, fuck this game, I've never played it, but fuck this game.
yeah.
So
What I would say is if you are the person that says this game shouldn't be on the top 100, you're also the person that should not look at the top 100. It's a very expected thing to happen.
yeah,
Every game that comes out after this is going to be a best game of all time if it has the right marketing and the right pull to it.
Scythe shot up, Gloomhaven shot up. Like it's just
and I think even though some games that I like a lot, I
yes.
think they're overrated on BGG.
That concludes listener feedback
yes.
with all of its.
Unless it's Terrifying
Battle.
Mars, and then that totally deserves number
Yeah, yeah.
5
Yeah.
5 now.
Yeah, it should be 4 higher.
What's Blood Bowl right now? This is bullshit.
it's-
Whatever number you
Blood
say,
Bowl's super
it's not
low.
number 1.
It's actually not bad. Not number 1. You know what? It's not number 1.
No.
I've checked, verified, not number 1.
Is it still Gloomhaven?
Still, yep.
Gloomhaven's geek
Still-
rating is like 9.
Uh-huh.
Like that's ridiculous.
It's a special
Like,
game.
I can't believe like that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Thanks everybody for tuning in for this episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed hearing us all go on and on and on and on and on about Rising Sun. I really am not looking forward to editing this at all.
That's why I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. If you want to get a hold of us, you can always send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
And Ant, you have a Twitter too, don't you?
It's Barrel_Overlord because I am the Barrel Overlord of Epic Brewing Company.
Indeed.
You
Great
just-
resource for asking about good breweries and beer in Denver.
Which he did recently. I'm not
Yes.
sure we ever talked about when we hung out or when you
did.
people
We did.
hung out.
We did.
We did.
Yeah. Okay.
You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram /Mile High Game Guys. We have our website, milehighgameguys.com, with show notes, mostly relevant for Wednesday episodes with news and Kickstarter links and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that pretty much all sums it up. Be sure to tune in next week for the normal Wednesday banter episode, and then episode 90 on Friday, where we will be doing our top 10 games that you can play in under 90 minutes. Which really means we're just limiting our top 10 to games that BGG lists as sub 90 minutes. So they might not actually play in under 90 minutes. We'll see. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, Ant, for joining us again. It's been a pleasure having you back on the show.
I love Blood Bowl.
Yeah,
Me
we
too.
need to have like an Ultra Blood Bowl episode sometime. Have you two just
Uh-huh.
go on and
yes.
on and on.
Yes. Yes.
YouTube channel coming.
Oh God.
Right on. Yeah, as always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Ronan Jeff.
And thanks again for joining us, Ant.
I love Blood Bowl.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. What'd you think of The
So-
Last Samurai?
Dude, I thought that was a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
it gets a worse rap than it deserves.
I agree.
Especially because the last samurai are the people Tom
It's
Cruise
plural.
is fighting with.
Samurai
Exactly.
is plural.
Exactly.
Yes.
But Adrian was just like, finally, there's no more.
Correct. The samurai are done.
I don't know why
Because you don't have a drum set.
I don't know what that was for, Jeff.
I don't know either.
So, Ant, what are your final thoughts on the game?
Ant, Adrian, me, Zach.
I was just going to do it in order around the
I was
table.
gonna say-
Ant, Jeff,
No,
me.
you go second.
No,
Zach.
because it's gonna be, it's the nice bread, the piece of shit, tomatoes.
Mayonnaise. Some people
No.
like it, some
Oh,
people
God.
don't.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I'm anti-mayonnaise. So.
You know what's funny is that now that sounds even grosser.
Shit sandwich with mayonnaise, huh?
No.
Oh, ooh.
Jeff, what do you think?
Let's say Eric Lang's going to make the most gorgeous train models in the most component-filled 18xx game you could possibly imagine. It has actual components,
Mhm.
money.
Does it have all of the components?
Indeed,
Oh,
in the
God damn it,
box.
All the ATXs have
Kickstarter
everything.
exclusive Thomas the Train. He's way overpowered.
Like nice plastic stock market tiles.
Ooh.
I'm sure you'd be on board. Choo choo.
Let me out. No. I don't know, maybe. Gives me something to look at.
Well,
besides
I
the
thought he was
gameplay.
talking to me that I'd
I
actually be
was.
on board
Oh,
with
yeah,
an Eric
yeah,
Lang game. Not you, Zach, that you'd
Oh.
actually be on board with the train game.
No.
Okay.
Can Eric
I
Lang
don't know,
bridge
maybe-
the gap between
Yeah,
the
there
two
we
of
go.
us?
Eric Lang, like,
Punchboard Media, where we all
Bring something
to the table
pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.